Fellow Taoist, it's best that you don't have any ideas about it. Take the temporal law and leave. That guy is extremely big. How old? Ning Tian asked curiously. About several thousand meters? It's not that big. Ning Tian frowned slightly. How do we get to the sleeping sea? Simple. The corner of Tao God Reincarnation's mouth lifted into a smile. With a wave of his hand, a white light appeared. After passing through here, you can enter the sleeping sea. Take White Willow with you. All right. Ning Tian didn't dawdle. He turned around and looked at White Willow at the side. The corner of his mouth twitched. Good heavens. This lady drew an array diagram in circles. He now suspected that if he was unlucky, it might be this lady who cursed him. White Willow, let's go. He muttered to himself. Oh, White Willow replied with an oh. Then, she carefully put away the small branch that Ning Tian gave her. She then carried the death bell and followed up. Old Taoist, wish us good luck, Ning Tian said to Tao God Reincarnation. Then, he plunged into the white light with White Willow and soon disappeared. It's just like when I was young. It's just that I'm not so shameless. You have my shadow on you. Maybe you can surpass me in the future. I hope that Duanmu Dusk won't be buried in your hands. I, Jin Yu Dao, will never forget to revive the Jin family. In the devil race, he, Tao God Reincarnation, looked at the direction where Ning Tian and White Willow left and muttered to himself. His voice carried a trace of killing intent. Sleeping sea. This was the deepest part of the endless sea. It was deeper than the quiet ocean abyss. The seawater was completely cold. Even if an ordinary God Emperor realm expert entered this place, the spiritual chi might be inadvertently frozen if they were not careful. In such a desperate place, once the spiritual chi was lost, they would sleep in this deep sea forever. Just like the name of this place, Sleeping Sea. In the deep sea, an inconspicuous light flickered. Then, two figures emerged from the light. Hiss, it's so cold. Emerging from the light, the cold seawater slapped Ning Tian's face. The bone-piercing cold came suddenly. His body trembled slightly, and he hurriedly circulated his spiritual chi to resist. The seawater of this sleeping sea was too cold, wasn't it? White Willow, why are you fine? Your clothes aren't wet? How did you do it? Ning Tian glanced at White Willow, who was hugging Death Bell with a calm expression. He couldn't help but feel puzzled. Pervert, carrot asterisk. White Willow hugged Death Bell and drew circles. Her small face was filled with anger. She drew circles in the seawater. Bubbles were bubbling. A question mark appeared carefully above Ning Tian's head. What's wrong with me again? What was this lady thinking all day long? He was just humbly asking how White Willow could circulate her spiritual chi so quickly. After all, coming out of Tao God Reincarnation's space portal required a certain amount of time. But then again, Tao God Reincarnation's space ability was indeed powerful. Could this be the power of a heavenly God realm expert? Forget it. White Willow, let's go. Ning Tian said quietly and then swam toward the deep sea. White Willow hugged Death Bell with one hand and drew circles with the other hand. She followed behind him obediently. Tao God Reincarnation didn't say where he buried the time law comprehension. Perhaps even he couldn't remember it. But fortunately, Ning Tian had the heavenly God body. He was born with a strong understanding of the law. As long as he got close, he could basically distinguish the direction. According to the current position, keep going down and go to the deepest part. Maybe I can sense it. Ning Tian murmured and then activated the skill, Deep Dive. His speed instantly soared. He wasn't worried that White Willow couldn't keep up. After all, although this lady was silly, her strength was at least demigod realm. Soon, the two came to the deepest part of the sleeping sea. It was pitch black here. Even the range of spiritual chi perception was greatly reduced. Strange. There's nothing here? Ning Tian frowned slightly and prepared to activate the power of the heavenly God body to sense it. Chapter 470. Then, let's try the perception of the heavenly God's power. Ning Tian murmured and stopped moving. The seawater flowed around him as he activated the heavenly God record. The heavenly God's power in his body began to surge at this moment. When the heavenly god's power surged in his body, the seawater around him boiled at this moment. The surface of his body even lit up with bursts of golden light. Seeing Ning Tian's appearance, Bai Lu couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Then, she hugged the death bell and quietly looked at Ning Tian. She analyzed very seriously and finally came to a conclusion. That is, Taoist Ning has turned into light. Bai Lu quietly watched from the side, waiting for Ning Tian to end his perception. At this moment, in Ning Tian's perception, the surroundings were pitch black. Only he was emitting light. What he needed to do was to find the heaven and earth law that could also emit light. There was a connection between the two. Once, it was darkness. Once again, it was darkness. In the cold seawater, Ning Tian kept searching. Finally, dozens of minutes later, I finally found it. The corner of Ning Tian's mouth raised into a confident arc. A golden light flashed in his eyes as he looked at a place. In his line of sight, there was a bright luster. If there was no accident, that should be the burial ground. According to the broken burial dusk, burial is also a sealing method. I hope the time law won't make me waste time to break the seal. He murmured. Let's go, Bai Lu. I found it. And, somewhere in the deep sea, a cluster of light flickered slightly. This is the comprehension of the time law buried by old Taoist. Ning Tian looked at this cluster of light floating with the seawater and couldn't help but feel a little excited. He could already feel the heavenly god's power in his body constantly surging. He couldn't wait to devour the comprehension of the time law. Taoist Ning, is this the comprehension of the time law? On the side, Bai Lu hugged the death bell and stared blankly in front of her. Ning Tian didn't pay attention to her and just nodded. This is the comprehension of the time law. Although it only emits a fist-sized luster, it is still shining. This is the power of the law. Then what is this red thing? Bai Lu's voice sounded. Red? Bai Lu, what are you talking about? Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. He looked at Bai Lu and realized that Bai Lu was staring blankly in front of them. He looked over as well. The F***CK? What is this? His expression changed. The seawater in front of him suddenly turned red. However, it wasn't the seawater that turned red, but the red light that illuminated the seawater. Ning Tian took a look and found that the red light was at least several thousand meters long. Could it be a strange phenomenon in the boundless ocean? Phew. I thought it was an eye. F***CK. It really was an eye. It was that 10-million-year-old tortoise. F***CK. That bastard old Tao. Didn't he say that it was only a few thousand meters long? That F***king eye is already 1,000 meters long. Just as Ning Tian heaved a sigh of relief, he suddenly saw that the 1,000-meter-wide red light instantly dissipated, and then after a while, it opened again. This was clearly a blink of an eye. If one were to say that a single eye was 1,000 meters in size, then how big would this 10-million-year-old tortoise be? F***CK, that old man Tao is very bad. If Sha Tian was here, I would definitely ask Sha Tian to tear down his Tao God mausoleum. Ning Tian cursed in a low voice. Then, he whispered to Bai Lu, Bai Lu, let's be quiet. Don't alarm this old bastard. Bai Lu nodded and tightly hugged the death bell in her arms, not allowing it to make a sound. Even she felt a lot of pressure from this incomparably huge fellow. After all, according to the words of the reincarnation Tao God, this netherworld black tortoise was the strongest overlord of the boundless ocean. After we get the law of time, let's go. Ning Tian made up her mind. Her hand slowly moved towards the ball of light containing the comprehension of the laws of time floating in the sea. The seawater flowed. It emitted waves of bubbles. 30 centimeters, 10 centimeters. Finally, Ning Tian's hand touched the ball of light and he immediately heaved a sigh of relief. He finally got the law of time, and he didn't make any noise to alarm that 10-million-year-old tortoise. The ball of light emitted a burst of light in Ning Tian's hand. Originally, Ning Tian thought that it was just a simple light of law, but soon, he realized that something was wrong. This light, it was getting brighter and brighter. This was absorbing the law of time. Strange, I clearly didn't absorb it. Ning Tian was confused. Fellow Taoist Ning, your stomach is glowing. At this time, Bai Lu seemed to have discovered a new continent. She looked at Ning Tian's stomach and quickly said, Light, light? Ning Tian was stunned for a moment and quickly lowered his head to take a look. What the F***ck? He suddenly realized that his stomach was really glowing. It just so happened that it complemented the light of the ball of light in his hand. No, this position is the Dantian. It's that unknown tree. Ning Tian reacted. It was the unknown tree that helped him comprehend the law of time. F***ck. If it was during normal times, it would naturally be a great thing. But now, I really have to thank you. What should I do now? Ning Tian was at a loss, but he quickly calmed down. Since he had already started, he might as well go all the way. Sooner or later, the old tortoise would discover the commotion here, so he might as well directly comprehend the law of time. That would give him a chance to live. He gritted his teeth and simply let go of his comprehension. Boom, boom. The surrounding seawater began to boil, and the golden light became bigger and bigger. It seemed to be illuminating the entire seabed. That pair of huge red eyes seemed to be looking over. The commotion here obviously alarmed the old tortoise. Boom, gurgle, gurgle. The seawater boiled. Bai Lu hugged the dead bell and looked at Ning Tian, who was emitting golden light. Her eyes widened. Fellow Taoist Ning had really turned into light. But what should she do now? Host has comprehended the law of time. The unknown tree has formed a Tao fruit. Death time. In the Dantian, the unknown tree was much more luxuriant. There were two fruits emitting a faint luster on it. One of them was emitting black qi, while the other was emitting a ticking sound. Obviously, these were the two laws of death and time. This is what? Ning Tian was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. But even if he wanted to know, it was obviously not the right time. Now, but there was still an old tortoise eyeing them covetously. Who is it? Trespassing into my forbidden area? In the seawater, the dazzling red light shone on Ning Tian and Bai Lu. A low sound rang out, and suddenly, waves were set off. The seawater was surging at this moment. At this moment, when this heavy sound rang out, the entire endless sea became a little restless. That old tortoise found us. Bai Lu's face changed slightly, and she hugged the dead bell tightly. Human cultivator, where do you think you're going? The netherworld black tortoise's voice came from afar, but its attack was very close to Ning Tian and Bai Lu. The waves broke through the air, bringing with it a roar, and violent killing intent swept towards the two of them. Even in the deep sea, the sea was split in half, and it took a long time for it to merge back together. Dong. Taking advantage of the dissipation of the sea, Bai Lu also took the opportunity to activate the death bell, and the sound of the bell spread again, barely blocking the attack. Bai Lu, good job. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian's eyes lit up with joy. I can't hold on for too long. Taoist Ning, why don't you run first? Bai Lu shook his head. Don't waste time. Even if I leave you behind, I can't run away, and I'll even die faster. Ning Tian didn't even think about it. It was meaningless to say this now, and he would run as far as he could. Boom, boom, boom. In the sea, a dazzling golden light shone, and behind the golden light, the waves surged and the sea water surged, alarming many sea beasts, sea demons, and the natives of the endless sea. All of them were shocked. Who was it that dared to provoke the overlord of the sea? F***, you old bastard. You've chased us for thousands of miles. With your bastard legs, can you catch up with us? Give up quickly. Ning Tian pulled Bai Lu and ran while scolding. He couldn't beat him, but he couldn't lose in terms of momentum. Damned humans. If it weren't for the existence of the chain, I'd bite a piece of trash like you. Behind him, that low voice, with a burst of waves, rang out. Heh, but there's no if. You old bastard. You'd better stay put. Damn it. Isn't it just blinding your bastard eyes? Is there a need to chase us like this? If you have the time to chase us, why don't you go and sleep? Ning Tian cursed, but the speed of his legs increased. He heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, I have many spiritual seas and the deep dive skill, otherwise, I would have been eaten by the bastard. I'm the netherworld black tortoise, not a bastard. That wave of furious roar was accompanied by the clanging of heavy iron chains. Looks like it's really as the nether black tortoise said. He really is trapped by something, otherwise, Ning Tian and Bai Lu would definitely be unable to escape. If you catch up with me, you won't be a bastard. Ning Tian scolded and ran wildly with Bai Lu. Bai Lu, ugh, I'm so dizzy. Damn it, you're the most infuriating cultivator I've met in so many years. Haha, thank you for the compliment. Quiet sea abyss. It was quiet here, and the corpses of several sea beasts sank to the bottom of the sea. Huh, it's been so long. Why hasn't my husband come out yet? Luo Wuqing frowned slightly, and there was a trace of worry in her eyes. Ning Tian had been in the stone door for more than an hour, but there was no sign of him coming out. If it weren't for the fact that they couldn't enter, they would have gone in long ago. Let's wait patiently, Sui Weiao said, and played with Neptune's trident in boredom. At this moment, the two women seemed to see a ball of light in front of them. Huh, what a familiar figure. Luo Wuqing froze for a moment and looked in that direction. It's my husband. Su Yueyao's eyes lit up, and her boredom instantly dissipated. No. Why do I feel a huge aura approaching? Luo Wuqing frowned, and her pretty face instantly turned cold, and her tone was full of killing intent. Someone is chasing after my husband? Huh. Hearing this, Su Yueyao's beautiful eyes turned cold. At this moment, these two crazy protective demons were angry, chasing after their husband? How dare they? F*CK. F*A. Old bastard, you can't catch up, so you spit at us. Aren't you disgusting? Ning Tian cursed. This old bastard only sucked in seawater and then spat it at them. Didn't he know that this old bastard who hadn't brushed his teeth for thousands of years had a foul mouth? It's enough to kill you, little bastard. The nether black tortoise was not so angry, but after being scolded by Ning Tian all the way, it was furious. Not only was this human shameless, but his mouth was also poisonous. When he scolded the black tortoise, he didn't repeat a single sentence. Husband, husband. At this moment, two beautiful figures flashed over. Wife, run. That old bastard is going crazy. Ning Tian subconsciously wanted to escape with the two, but at this moment, the golden light in his dantian dissipated, and the system notification sounded. Dao fruit has matured, can provide powerful law power. Hearing this, Ning Tian immediately slammed on the brakes, looking ferocious. F*CK. Wife, let's not run anymore. Kill. We'll eat tortoise meat tonight. Author's words. Seeing the results drop by a lot, my heart instantly turned cold. Maybe it's really not stable to reach 1,000,000 words. I tried my best. Was the plot too ordinary before? Give me some suggestions. I'll try my best to write what you like to read. Also, I'll post the 3rd chapter today in one go. In the future, the 3rd chapter will be posted in the morning. I'll stay up late to finish it for you. Chapter 472. Tortoise Meat. Seeing Ning Tian and Bai Lu's sorry state, Luo Wuqing and Sui Weiao couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Their beautiful eyes flashed with confusion. Could it be hubby and Bai Lu went to catch a sea beast? Boom boom. However, before Ning Tian could explain, the seawater behind Ning Tian and Bai Lu surged, and waves of terrifying power slammed towards them. It did not leave them any room to maneuver. If they were hit, they would shatter like a watermelon. Hubby, watch out! Wu Qing and Yueyao exclaimed. Their beautiful eyes flashed with a cold light. Spiritual energy surged around them as they released their demigod aura. Even the surrounding seawater was stirred up. In a flash, the two of them appeared in front of Ning Tian. With a shake of their jade-like hands, they shattered the seawater that was attacking them. 2 more humans? The voice of the Xuanwu of the netherworld rang out in the depths of love. The seawater turned scarlet red. That was its eyes. Along with the deep voice, there was also the sound of chains rubbing against each other. Just how big were the chains that could bind such a huge creature? A sea beast? What a huge sea beast! Luo Wuching frowned, and a trace of coldness appeared on her beautiful face. She could sense that this sea beast was not ordinary. It was completely different from the ones they had just killed. Just a pair of eyes was a full 1,000 meters long. Then, how big was its body? In their eyes, they could only see a huge shadow in the dark sea. They couldn't see its appearance at all. Honey, this is not an ordinary sea beast. This is the Netherworld tortoise. According to Old Man Dao, it should be the overlord of the endless sea. Ning Tian swam over with Bai Lu. At this time, he also let go of Bai Lu's hand. Bai Lu, ugh, I'm so dizzy. This girl was originally light. After being pulled by Ning Tian all the way, she couldn't tell north from south. It seemed that her sense of direction was very poor. She floated around dizzily in the sea. Human ant, shut your mouth. I am the Netherworld Black Tortoise. I'm not an old bastard. The Nether Black Tortoise gnashed its teeth as its voice reverberated through the sea. Its furious voice caused the surrounding seawater to surge violently. Isn't it all the same? You old bastard. You've lived for millions of years, yet your temper is still so bad. It's a miracle that you haven't been angered to death. Ning Tian's mouth was still unforgiving. If he wanted to defeat this old bastard, he would have to make it lose its mind first. Roar, roar, roar. As expected, from the depths of the sea, low roars could be heard. The surrounding seawater was being swallowed and spat out by the Nether Black Tortoise at a visible speed. It was obvious that it was furious. However, it was not its fault. After all, even though it had lived for tens of millions of years, it had never met people like Ning Tian, whether they were from the human race, the demon race, the monster race, or the other races. The monster race was cunning, the demon race was murderous, and the human race was all smiles. But, however, this little brat in front of him was an exception. Shameless, talkative, he had everything. Damn it, this old bastard was going to die from anger. Human race ant, didn't you want to run? Why don't you continue to run? If you fall into my hands, I will make sure you die miserably. In the depths of the sea, that pair of red eyes landed on Ning Tian. Run? Sorry. The cheat is in my account. From now on, I am going to counterattack. This old bastard who has lived for tens of millions of years must be very nourishing. Unfortunately, this bastard is too big to be stewed in a pot. Ning Tian sneered. Although he had been acting tough, he naturally had his reasons. Since he had decided to fight, he would use his words to anger this old bastard. An enemy who was extremely angry would always be easier to deal with than a calm enemy because there would be more flaws. Anger would make one lose their mind. This was only one of the reasons. The second reason was to stall for time. When he had angered the Nether Black Tortoise, he had also figured out what the system meant by Dao fruit. Dao fruit was the fruit produced by the unknown tree in his dantian. The fruit's energy was to absorb the law of heaven and earth. Every time he comprehended a law, the unknown tree would produce a new Dao fruit. At this moment, in his dantian, there were 2 Dao fruits on the unknown tree, death and time. Consuming the Dao fruit could increase one's strength and also temporarily obtain the law of heaven and earth. Ha ha ha. Hearing Ning Tian's words, the Nether Black Tortoise was so angry that it laughed. The seawater spread along with its laughter. The quiet sea abyss was no longer quiet. The endless sea began to set off waves. With just you? Even if I am a whip, it is countless times bigger than you. Ning Tian. After a moment of silence, his eyes lit up. Damn. So you really have it. It's a great nourishment, a great nourishment. The 2 women. It's over. If they really killed this old bastard and their husband ate this great nourishment, wouldn't they be the ones to suffer? At this moment, the 2 women frowned. One frowned because she was worried, while the other frowned to hide the anticipation in her heart. Ridiculous. The Nether Black Tortoise was just joking. However, it suddenly felt a chill under its body. Suddenly, it brought a wave of seawater towards Ning Tian and the others. Raging tsunami. Boom, boom, boom. The huge pressure drew out almost a quarter of the seawater in the quiet sea abyss. The entire sea level dropped rapidly. The seawater gathered and formed a tsunami that was thousands of meters in size. It attacked Ning Tian and the others. This old bastard is serious. Ning Tian's eyes flashed. The playful look on his face instantly disappeared. His expression gradually turned serious. To be honest, this nether black tortoise was really strong. However, fortunately, he had a cheat. Husband, step back. Yueyao and I will block it. Luo Wuqing took a step forward with a cold expression on her face. Even if the nether black tortoise gave her a strong pressure, there was no fear in her eyes. No need. I will fight with you. Ning Tian shook his head. Then, a cold light appeared in his hand. 2 balls of light surged, one golden and one dark. Swallow it. It will allow you to grasp a certain amount of the laws of heaven and earth and increase your combat strength. Although Ning Tian could use it himself, the effect would be more obvious if he used it on Luo Wuqing and Su Yuyao. Stronger than stronger. Okay, got it. Luo Wuqing and Su Yuyao looked at each other. Without the slightest hesitation, they each took the Tao fruit of the laws of heaven and earth. They already knew about Ning Tian's ability, so they would not doubt him at this time. The 2 women swallowed the Tao fruit. Soon, the power of laws surged in their delicate bodies. This was a power they had never experienced before. After all, not everyone could comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. Even the 2 of them, who were blessed by the heavens, had some difficulty. Of course, the comprehension of the laws of heaven and earth here was not the superficial understanding of the sea monster race. Chapter 473. Above Luo Wuqing's delicate body, a golden light flowed. This was the power of the laws of time, but Su Yuyao chose the laws of death. Black energy covered the jade flute, desolate and melancholic, completely different. In the blink of an eye after swallowing the Tao fruit, the raging waves came crashing down. Human ant, be annihilated by my fury. The nether black tortoise's red eyes fell on Ning Tian. Its voice was filled with manic killing intent. It controlled the monstrous waves and smashed them towards Ning Tian. The formless sea water condensed into thousands of sharp blades and gathered here. Do you think you have the right to hurt my husband? Luo Wuqing's lips curved into a sneer. Her beautiful eyes were filled with indifference. She raised her hand and golden light circulated in her hand. With a completely different aura, she threw it towards the incoming waves. This little girl's power is so strange. She didn't have it just now. The nether black tortoise was stunned for a moment. However, the killing intent in its red eyes did not dissipate. Tick-tock, tick-tock. When Luo Wuqing waved her hand, the golden light in her hand flowed with her movements. A golden matrix of light appeared behind her. Immediately after, a shadow appeared. That was a clock? Even vaguely, one could hear the ticking of a clock. The waves. Stop for the emperor. Luo Wuqing shouted coldly. Her hand shook. Even though she had become a demigod expert, she still liked the term empress. Tick-tock. The golden light array behind her suddenly trembled, and the spinning clock suddenly stopped. Boom. At this moment, the incoming waves came to an abrupt halt without the slightest sign. Even the droplets of seawater that were falling from the sky had stopped as well. In an instant, the 1,000-meter-long waves were like a stone statue, frozen in place. What? The law of time? What kind of comprehension is it to be able to stop my attack? In the deep sea, the nether black tortoise exclaimed. It did not expect Luo Wuqing to have mastered the law of heaven and earth. Moreover, she could stop its attack. It's not over yet. Su Yuyao placed the jade flute on her red lips and gently blew it. They were originally in the sea. However, at this moment, Luo Wuqing used the law of time to forcibly stop time and solidify the seawater. Ning Tian also took the opportunity to throw a heavy palm strike. In an instant, the surrounding seawater was emptied. For the first time, there was no seawater. A sad song. The jade flute played music, the death song. Crack. The law of death drove the Tao of music, and a death song was played. The waves were instantly reduced to nothingness. They didn't shatter, but they were corroded into nothingness by the circulation of black gas. Even the seawater was robbed of its life, and it disappeared into nothingness. The law of deaths? The nether black tortoises? What's going on? Heaven and earth's is? Could it be that while it was sleeping, the entire profound sky world had changed? Is of heaven, s heavens? Heavens of the heaven, of heavens, heavens, heavens. To think that they can use the laws so vividly in their hands. The system sighed in his mind. Of course. Look at whose wife they are. Ning Tian snorted proudly. How could the Grand Master's wife be ordinary? The system sighed. If I had known, I would have chosen them. If I had chosen them, I would have soared. The corner of Ning Tian's mouth twitched. Shut up. Human ants, I have to admit that you have some strength, but that's all. If it weren't for this damned world lock that only allows me to use 1/10 of my strength, you would all be dead. The nether black tortoise's unwilling voice came from the deep sea. As the overlord of the endless sea, it was played by a few mere demigod realm humans. This was a humiliation to it. 1/10 of your strength? Hearing this, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao's hearts trembled. Their beautiful eyes instantly turned serious. This was an old tortoise that had lived for thousands of years. Its strength was indeed extraordinary. World lock? Hearing this, Ning Tian was stunned. Although he didn't know what this thing was used for, he came to a conclusion. The corner of his mouth gradually lifted into a kind smile. It's good that it's locked. Today, I'll teach you a lesson. While you're weak, I'll take your life. After hearing this news, Ning Tian's first reaction was not to sigh at the nether black tortoise's strength, but to think of a way to kill this old tortoise. Anyway, it was weakened by the world lock. If he didn't attack now, when would he attack? Wife, kill it. Take down this old tortoise. Tonight, we'll eat tortoise meat stewed with tortoise whip. A fierce light flashed in Ning Tian's eyes. He activated the deep dive skill, and the red cloud sword appeared in his hand. With an inextinguishable flame, he charged towards the giant figure in the deep sea. Sword Dao, Palm Dao, Fist Dao, and Entertainment Dao were activated at this moment. The power of the heaven and earth's rule was also released mercilessly. At this moment, Ning Tian activated all his skills and targeted this old tortoise. Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao nodded heavily and followed him. At the side, Bai Lu finally recovered from her dizziness. Seeing Ning Tian and the others rush over, she did not follow. Instead, she gently stroked the death bell to provide support. After all, she did not have a physical body, and her soul form was too fragile. You're courting death. In the deep sea, a scarlet red color appeared. The nether black tortoise's angry roar caused the entire endless sea domain to riot. Wuji Divine Dynasty. In the main hall. Report. Emperor. Emperor, something bad has happened. A hurried voice sounded from outside the main hall. Following that, a flustered civil official ran in from outside the main hall. He was sweating profusely as he looked at Di Wuji in the main hall. What's the matter? Could it be that Long Jiang accidentally destroyed the house again? Di Wuji frowned as he looked at the civil official. There was a trace of confusion in his eyes. In the past few days, Long Jiang had suddenly become reckless and accidentally destroyed the house. This caused many civil and military officials to complain about him. No. The civil official shook his head. He looked flustered. It's the Sea God's harbor. Something has happened to the Sea God's harbor. Something big has happened in the endless sea domain. The waves are surging. All the fishermen have evacuated, but the Sea God's harbor is still flooded. Fortunately, the residents of the Sea God's harbor evacuated in time. That's why there were no casualties. What's going on? Hearing this, Di Wuji's expression turned serious. It's the endless sea domain. Something has happened in the endless sea domain. Some people even saw the waves that were thousands of meters tall. Many sea beasts and sea demons fled in all directions. Some people even saw a huge monster. There are also a few figures fighting with that huge monster. This is unbelievable. The civil official was very excited. He had never seen such a big scene in his life. Huge monster? How many figures are there? Di Wuji was stunned. He frowned and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. Chapter 474. Could these figures be the ancestral master and the others? When he thought of such a huge commotion, the first thing that came to Di Wuji's mind was his ancestral master. After all, whenever there was a huge commotion, he would first think of his ancestral master. But why would the ancestral master and the others cause such a commotion? What was the huge creature that was fighting the ancestral master and the others? Di Wuji frowned deeply, but he could not figure it out. Emperor? Emperor? The official saw Di Wuji in a daze and could not help but call out tentatively. The emperor understands. Gather the men and head to the endless sea domain. Di Wuji snapped out of his daze, and a glint flashed across his eyes. His tone was serious as he spoke to the official. He wanted to see what that man was doing with his own eyes. Ever since the Wuji God dynasty was established, it had always been close to the endless sea domain. Although there were large and small fluctuations in the sea domain, there had never been such a huge commotion like today. He had to go and take a look. Yes. The official nodded and quickly gathered the men. Countless spirit commandeers gathered at the Sea God's harbor. Sea God's harbor was now completely submerged. There was no way this place could withstand the waves that were thousands of meters tall. On a 100-meter spirit commandeer ship, Di Wuji looked at the sea with a serious expression. From afar, there was already a storm on the sea. Dark clouds swept across the sea, and all kinds of waves surged. Most importantly, when the 1,000-meter waves rose to the sky, they would suddenly stop and dissipate into thin air. All the civil and military officials of the everlasting divine dynasty were dumbfounded. Emperor, I'm afraid. It's not safe ahead. Some officials frowned and looked worried. If they were swept in, they would probably die, right? The emperor naturally understands. Di Wuji retracted his gaze and looked at the officials with a serious expression. But we have to go. With such a huge commotion, if we are not careful, the endless sea domain might go berserk. When that happens, the entire Wuji God dynasty will be submerged in the raging sea. Hearing this, the officials' expressions turned serious. They naturally understood the importance of this matter. Once the endless sea domain went berserk, the Wuji God dynasty would definitely be affected. At that time, they would probably suffer heavy casualties. We understand, Emperor. The group of officials nodded solemnly. Let's go. Di Wuji waved his hand and looked ahead. Hundreds of spirit commandeering ships began to advance towards the land of rebellion. Along the way, the people of the limitless celestial dynasty saw all kinds of tsunamis, sea beasts, and sea demons running away. It was no doubt a sign of the terror ahead. For a moment, everyone was panicking and nervous. Boom, boom. The endless sea domain could no longer remain calm. Very soon, everyone finally saw that terrifying scene. An enormous monster appeared on the surface of the boundless sea. Like an island, it was several tens of thousands of meters in size. In fact, it might even be several 100,000 meters in size, because most of his body was submerged in the sea. And on that island, there was a giant crimson python running rampant. Ferocious and terrifying. What was most shocking was that there were chains tightly binding the figure. It was like, who was it? Who was it that used chains to keep this huge creature in the endless sea? Hiss. What is that thing? Sea beasts? But how could there be such a huge sea beast? Tens of thousands of meters, or even hundreds of thousands of meters? Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. The limitless celestial dynasty has been established for so many years. I have never heard of such a level of sea beast in the endless sea domain. Unbelievable. At this moment, all the officials of the limitless celestial dynasty were shocked. Their pupils constricted. No, it was no longer shock, it was fear. It was the fear of facing an unknown behemoth. What exactly is this? Di Wuji's heart trembled. Even he could not hide the fear in his heart when facing such a huge creature. He even felt a trace of helplessness. This is definitely not something that a demigod expert can deal with. Imperial Emperor, quickly look. At this moment, an official's voice rang out beside him. Is that the Ancestral Master's ship? Diwuji frowned and looked over. Not far away, the void ship was swaying in the waves. On the deck, a small lion wearing a straw hat was trying its best to control the ship's direction. Even though it was swaying and facing strong winds and waves, Shatian still did not let the void ship be overturned by the waves. It is the Ancestral Master's ship, but where are the Ancestral Master and the others? Diwuji frowned. Haha, old bastard. You are indeed an old bastard. Your speed is as slow as a tortoise's. At this moment, a hearty laughter rang out from not far away. It instantly attracted the attention of Diwuji and the others. When they looked over, their expressions changed slightly, and they could not help but exclaim in surprise. F*CK. Isn't that the Ancestral Master? The Ancestral Master and his two wives are suppressing the sea beast and beating it up? But what the hell is that spirit hugging the bell? This couple is 2F** King strong. The officials of the limitless celestial dynasty widened their eyes. Their eyes were filled with deep shock, and their hearts were already in turmoil. Is this the Ancestral Master's true strength? Diwuji looked a little depressed as he watched Ning Tian continuously attacking the sea beast. At this moment, he deeply understood that he was definitely no match for Ning Tian. However, what he did not know was that the nether black tortoise could only use 1/10 of its strength at this moment. In their eyes, Ning Tian was simply a god who had descended from the heavens and was crushing the sea beast. Ant, I won't let you off. The nether black tortoise was enraged. All this while, that brat had been taking advantage of the two terrifying women to attack him. He had been using some moves that did not cause much damage but were extremely insulting. Coupled with his poisonous mouth, it was simply unbearable. He wanted to get rid of this bastard, but the two women did not give him a chance at all. You dare to touch my husband? Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao both snorted coldly. There was no doubt that the laws were terrifying. F***CK. Damn you, crazy protector of your husband. F***C. The nether black tortoise cursed and used all the human curses that it had learned for thousands of years. With the two women around, that brat could not touch it at all. How infuriating. This bastard's turtle shell is really thick. Ning Tian frowned and chose a suitable position to attack. However, at this moment, the system's voice rang in his mind. You have shocked Diwuji. You have shocked the officials of the limitless celestial dynasty. Obtain skill card, damage stacking. Use all skills to stack the damage. Note, if the damage is low, let's stack it 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times. The system's voice rang in his mind. Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. Then, he glanced at Diwuji and the others who were not far away. The old emperor had come just in time. However, stacking the skill card required a certain amount of time. If he waited until the number of times he could kill the old bastard, the effectiveness of the two women's Dao fruits would have expired. I need to stack it tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of times in a short period of time. Ning Tian frowned and muttered to himself, deep in thought. All of a sudden, there was a flash of inspiration in his mind. His eyes lit up, and a confident smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Got it. Use skill. Sands of time. Author's words. It's midnight. Sleep. Sleep. Last daily request for silver notes. Chapter 475. Ning Tian's eyes lit up as he muttered to himself, since I can't multiply it countless times in a short period of time, then let's slow down time. The golden light of the law of time flowed on his body. Wife, help me buy some time. Let me deal the final blow to this old bastard. After making up his mind, Ning Tian shouted. Okay. Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao nodded. Their beautiful eyes flashed coldly as they activated their demigod power and law of time stop. The death song was released again. Not far away, The sound of the death bell was also constantly ringing. Buy time for you? What a joke. When the nether black tortoise's deep voice sounded, even the surrounding seawater roared angrily. Not far away, the hundreds of spirit ships of the Wuji divine dynasty were instantly affected, and many of them were overturned. Diwuji was so shocked that he quickly retreated with a group of people. This sea beast is so powerful. Can Daoist Ning and the others really deal with it? Diwuji's expression was solemn, and his face was a little ugly. Such a huge and powerful sea beast was hiding in the endless sea domain, and the Wuji divine dynasty didn't even know about it. It was simply a hidden danger. Could it be? Is Daoist Ning eliminating the evil in the name of Daoist Ning? Diwuji frowned. If that was the case, Daoist Ning was really a good person. However, what he didn't know was that Ning Buxu only wanted to nourish his body. Not far away, the spiritual energy surged. The two women continuously attacked the nether black tortoise, performing beautiful and powerful moves. They were much more powerful than Ning Buxu's moves, which were not very powerful but were extremely humiliating. Even the nether black tortoise had to be cautious. Phew, I hope my guess is correct. Ning Tian took a deep breath. The golden light around his body was already circulating. He seemed to be able to hear the ticking sound. That was the time of heaven and earth jumping. He muttered to himself, time, quicksand. Boom. The moment his voice fell, a loud explosion sounded. Then, a huge clock appeared behind Ning Tian. The surrounding world began to lose its color and turned gray. Everything seemed to have stopped. However, it didn't stop. It was moving slowly. The world was gray. Only Ning Tian was colorful. Only his time was flowing. The sands of time. What was lost was not other people's time, but his. The outside world would not be affected by the sand of time, but only his own. Ning Tian's time in the sand of time domain would be released in an instant. So, this sands of time is a domain technique. As he observed his surroundings, Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. However, he quickly reacted. Sacrificing his time in exchange for a powerful attack was undoubtedly a double-edged sword. But at this moment, he had no choice. Host, this system's friendly reminder is that you can stay in the sands of time for 1 month. At this moment, the system's notification sounded in his mind. A month? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. The system replied, yes, the sand of time domain skill will improve along with your understanding of the law of time. I see. I understand now. Ning Tian nodded slightly as a bright light flashed in his eyes. This was definitely a heaven-defying method. If his grasp of the laws of time was strong enough, wouldn't he be invincible if he went into seclusion in the sands of time? However, this was only based on the condition that his comprehension of the law of time was strong enough. As for now, let's deal with this old bastard first. Phew. Ning Tian took a deep breath. Then, his spiritual energy surged out. All the techniques that Ning Tian had learned in his life were constantly displayed at this moment. Then, they were stacked again and again. Stacking skill cards. Use. 1 month. With my speed, I can use each skill 100,000 times after exhausting my spiritual energy. Ning Tian's lips curled into a confident smile. At this moment, his methods were endless. 100,000 sword intent, 100,000 wind thunder palm, 100,000 divine music, etc. In the blink of an eye, 100,000 condenses were completed. The surrounding world began to regain its color. Ning Tian's face looked a little weak. To continuously use all his skills for 1 month, even he felt a little weak. The sands of time domain dissipated. However, for the outside world, it was just a few breaths. But Ning Tian's beard was unshaven and his hair had grown a lot longer. This was enough to prove that he had indeed spent 1 month in the sands of time. This also indirectly proved the terror of the sands of time domain. Boom! A roar sounded, accompanied by the sound of iron chains. Not good. The time for the Law Dao fruit is up. Su Yueyao's jade flute was flowing with black gas. She could feel that the power that she had finally familiarized herself with was quickly dissipating in her body. It's okay. I'm not afraid of it. I'll buy time for my husband. The clock behind Luo Wuqing shattered. In an instant, her momentum weakened a lot, but she was still strong. Her cold eyes fell on the netherworld black tortoise. Her pretty face was cold without a trace of fear. Hee, Wuqing, you're right. It's nothing more than a bastard. Sui Weiyao giggled. Several heavenly instruments appeared behind her. She shouted, Today, I'll send this old bastard to his death. Huh. Not far away, Bai Lu, who was holding the dead bell, was stunned for a moment. He blinked his eyes and looked confused. Send the bell? Why do you want to send it to me? Asterisk, 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 caret, asterisk. Haha. The netherworld black tortoise laughed loudly. The sea shook. Its red eyes flowed with killing intent as it looked at the two women. Your power has disappeared. Haha, now is my chance. At this moment, a cold shout sounded. Old bastard. How dare you touch my wife? Do you want to die? Ning Tian looked at the netherworld black tortoise with a murderous look in his eyes. He held a light ball in his hand. The light ball flowed with violent energy. Heh. Are you going to use some moves that don't do much damage but are extremely insulting to me? The netherworld black tortoise sneered. Is that so? Ning Tian's lips curled into a kind smile. He played with the light ball in his hand. He was already thinking about whether he should braise or steam this old bastard. Then, he looked at the two women. Honey, thank you for your hard work. Next, you two step back. I'm going to start killing the bastard. Okay. Hearing this, the two women nodded, looked at each other, and stepped back. They didn't ask too much. They knew that since their husband dared to say it, he could do it. Ridiculous. Seeing this, the netherworld black tortoise was even more disdainful. It didn't believe that this kind of move that didn't do much damage and was extremely insulting could shake it. How could it be? It was completely wishful thinking. Emperor, Ancestral Master is going to make his move. Not far away, Di Wuji and the other officials of the everlasting divine dynasty held their breaths as they watched this scene. Ancestral Master is finally going to make his move. One attack might be useless, but what about 100,000? Ning Tian smiled. His body was like a ghost. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of the netherworld black tortoise's huge body. He looked at the red python on its back, and the light ball in his hand exploded with violent energy. Terrifying energy instantly erupted, and then soared intent. Wind from his palms, fist techniques, and various other abilities surged into appearance. What? Tortoise shell protection. Boom. The nether black tortoise wanted to activate its tortoise shell, but it was too late. It was already too late. Boom. In an instant, the nether black tortoise's island-sized tortoise shell released a terrifying amount of spiritual energy. Following that, a mushroom cloud of spiritual energy slowly rose, and that terrifying power swept out in all directions. The entire endless sea realm seawater was shaken up to a height of 10,000 meters. Countless sea beasts and sea demons that couldn't escape in time were instantly affected. In just the blink of an eye, they lost their vitality and died peacefully. Is this the true strength of the Ancestral Master? How stupid is the Emperor to think that he would fight with such a peerless expert? Di Wuji and the rest had already retreated far away, terrified. His gaze was extremely solemn as he looked at that overwhelming power, and his heart was filled with lingering fear. Perhaps a single boulder wasn't scary, but what about 100,000 boulders? The accumulated power was extremely terrifying. Boom, boom. The explosion of that power even affected the sea tens of thousands of meters away, let alone Ning Tian, who was at the center of the explosion. Oh no, there's no more spiritual energy to block it. Looking at that explosive power, Ning Tian's body felt weak. Don't forget that he had released almost all of his spiritual energy in the sand of time. Now, he was extremely weak. Ning Buxu was finally weak. Boom. C. I don't want to perish together with this old bastard. Ning Tian cursed under his breath. Then, he activated the Heavenly God Record. With just a little bit of spiritual energy, he could activate the void ability and escape from the center of the explosion. Damn it. There was no more spiritual energy in his dantian. There was really not a single drop left. Husband. At this moment, a fragrant wind blew over, and a beautiful figure appeared beside him and pulled him into her embrace. So soft, so fragrant, Ning Tian simply relaxed. Only by relaxing could he recover his spiritual energy. Wuqing, take your husband and retreat first, Sui Weiyao shouted coldly. Then, she blasted her palm toward that explosive power. After slowing down the speed of the explosion, she moved her delicate body and continuously retreated. Tens of thousands of meters away, the three of them emerged. Ning Tian was lying in Luo Wuqing's soft arms, with his head resting on her chest. At this moment, the heavenly god body began to operate quietly. Daoist Ning, is he all right? On the side, Bai Lu hugged the death bell and looked at Ning Tian with some worry. Although Daoist Ning was a bad guy, she hadn't cursed enough. It would be a pity if he died like this. At the very least, he had to wait until she finished cursing him. And that's it. He's fine. He should have used up all his spiritual energy and is a little weak. Luo Wuqing looked at Ning Tian in her arms and shook her head slightly. A touch of helpless affection appeared in her beautiful eyes. Really, this guy is too reckless. Reckless is reckless, but my husband's move is really strong. Sui Weiyao sighed, looking at the mushroom cloud of spiritual energy that hadn't dissipated for a long time. Even she was afraid. That's fine. If he dies, I can still draw a circle for Daoist Ning and help him transcend, Bai Lu said seriously. The three of them. Damn, this girl is too scary. Why are you looking at me like this? If I die, won't I just go to the Lord of Death's place? Bai Lu felt a little strange. She hugged the death bell with a puzzled look. Phew. Ning Tian shook his head slightly and let out a long sigh of relief. The heavenly god record was heaven-defying. In just a few seconds, there was a lot of spiritual energy in his body. The feeling of weakness also quietly dissipated. Although he was no longer weak, he still didn't get up from Luo Wuqing's arms. After all, he had just gone through a great battle. His wife's arms were so soft and fragrant. It wasn't too much to take a little rest, right? On the side, Luo Wuqing seemed to know what this guy was thinking. She didn't say anything. She gently placed her hand on Ning Tian's head, as if she was injecting spiritual energy to relieve his fatigue. It could be said that with a daughter like this, what more could a man ask for? Ning Tian sighed and looked up. The mushroom cloud of spiritual energy was still exploding. The surrounding sea was dyed red with blood. He just didn't know how that old bastard was doing. At this moment, the system's voice sounded in his mind again. You are shocked. Chapter 477. You shocked Di Wuji. You shocked the officials of the Wuji dynasty. You shocked the Lion King. You shocked Luo Wuqing and Sui Weiyao. You shocked the Nether Black Tortoise. The system's voice kept ringing in his mind. Hearing the voice, Ning Tian was instantly energized. He was even looking forward to it. Shocking the 10-million-year-old tortoise, he should be able to get a good reward now, right? The system's voice sounded. Reward received. Heavenly God Body. Heavenly Tao Manifestation. The Heavenly God Body can accommodate all the laws of heaven and earth. The strongest Heavenly God Body. Heavenly Tao Manifestation. This, Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. His expression changed slightly. Even he couldn't help but gasp. The reward today. It meant that he would become the most special Heavenly God Body in history. He would be completely different from the other heavenly god bodies. It also meant that he could control all the laws of heaven and earth. His heavenly god body. It really changed. He had become the one and only heavenly god body. Reminder, the heavenly Tao manifestation has not been unlocked yet. The host needs to upgrade his heavenly god body to the medium level. At this moment, the system's voice rang in his mind. Ning Tian frowned. But don't worry, the system has already sent the pills to the host's mind. You can check it yourself. Hearing that, Ning Tian checked it briefly. Soon, his expression became a little interesting. It seemed, today's tortoise was well beaten. Among the pills, there was one that stood out the most. That was the black tortoise's blood essence. Wasn't there a 10-million-year-old tortoise in front of him? It didn't take much effort to get it. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile. He then got up and looked in the direction of the nether black tortoise. The mushroom cloud of spiritual energy was gradually dissipating. It was time to see how the old tortoise was doing. Husband. Looking at Ning Tian, who got up from his arms, Luo Wuqing was stunned. It's fine. Don't worry. Your husband is super fierce. How can this little bit of weakness trouble me? Ning Buxu. Ning Tian laughed, indicating that Luo Wuqing didn't need to worry. Hee. Really? Su Yueyao licked her red lips and breathed a sigh of relief. Of course. You'll know in the future. Ning Tian smiled and emphasized that word. Then, he stretched his back and looked at the place where the power had erupted. He clicked his tongue and sighed. The seawater had already been evaporated by the power. The sea level of the entire endless sea region had dropped by a lot. A large part of the sea was dyed red by the blood of the nether black tortoise. At this moment, the nether black tortoise did not die. After all, it was an old monster that had lived for thousands of years. Even if it was locked by the heavens and earth lock, it would not die so easily. But it was truly too horrible to look at. One of the blood pythons on the tortoise shell was blinded by the explosion. There was a hole in the tortoise shell, and the flesh and blood inside could be seen clearly. It was simply extremely tragic. He actually didn't finish it off in one move. What a pity. Ning Tian sighed. If the nether black tortoise heard this, he was afraid that even if it was not beaten to death, it would be angered to death. Its black tortoise's defense was almost invincible, but it was beaten to such a state by Ning Tian. It was simply a disgrace. Old bastard. I didn't expect you to still be alive. You're too tough. Ning Tian and the others moved and approached the nether black tortoise. This fellow did not seem to have the intention to attack. It seemed. Was it beaten silly by Ning Tian? Hello? Old bastard? Seeing that the nether black tortoise was motionless, Ning Tian frowned slightly. Just as he was about to attack, the nether black tortoise moved. Its attitude had completely changed. Fellow Taoist, I didn't know you had such an identity. It's true that no discord, no concord. Ah, such an identity? Ning Tian's eyes narrowed. He seemed to have thought of something. Could it be that this old bastard had noticed the power of the heavenly god in him? It was afraid of the heavenly god physique? Ning Tian's guess was correct. The moment its turtle shell was broken, the nether black tortoise understood. The person in front of it definitely had that identity. In this profound sky world, there were people who could break its black tortoise shield. However, only the power of the heavenly god physique could do that. Damn it, why did it provoke the heavenly god physique? If it had known earlier, it would not have dared to provoke him even if it was pretending to be asleep. F***CK. Ever since I came to this world, I have known how terrifying the heavenly god physique is. I have been hiding carefully. I did not expect to suffer today. The nether black tortoise sighed heavily in its heart. It could not be blamed. Although it was hiding from the heavenly god physique, it had seen it before. Those fellows looked like they were favored by the heavens. However, the guy in front of it had a handsome face. He was not only inhumane but also shameless. How could it associate such a person with the heavenly god physique? Oh, are you scared, brother black tortoise? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows, and a playful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The power of the heavenly god physique in his body was faintly discernible and quietly floated out. Ahaha, fellow Taoist, you can call me old tortoise. Call me brother black tortoise. I can't accept it. The nether black tortoise coughed dryly and coughed up blood. Oh, didn't you keep saying that you were a black tortoise? Ning Tian looked at it with a smile. Sorry, from now on, I will change my name. I am called Nether Tortoise. It has a domineering aura, the nether black tortoise said weakly. It was now seriously injured and had to admit defeat. Fellow Taoist Ning actually defeated this sea beast. In the distance, Di Wuji's expression was very interesting. Moreover, fellow Taoist Ning seemed to have an identity that made the nether black tortoise very wary. The black tortoise, that was a divine beast. Not only did fellow Daoist Ning's two wives have powerful backgrounds, but he also has a powerful background? Hiss! Di Wuji sucked in a breath of cold air. Ning Tian, on the other hand, picked up Scarlet Cloud Sword and said, I'm sorry, but I still have to continue with the last hit. This, fellow Daoist, if you have something to say. The nether black tortoise immediately panicked. However, before it could finish speaking, it saw Ning Tian flash over. The might of a heavenly god instantly surged, and the scarlet cloud sword in his hand burned with extreme flames. Since the ancestral master said that he was going to attack, then he had to do it. Who cares what you are? I'll kill you first to prevent future troubles. Sword Dao, divine might of the sword. Ning Tian murmured. The fiery sword intent slashed towards the nether black tortoise's head. At this moment, the sword intent expanded countless times, reaching tens of thousands of feet. It's over, it's over. Seeing this scene, the nether black tortoise was in despair. Could it be that after living for tens of millions of years, it was finally coming to an end? Clang! The sword slashed down, but it made a sound as if it was hitting steel. No. It was as if he had struck steel. Ning Tian frowned, and the scarlet cloud sword danced in his hand. In front of him was the heaven and earth lock that locked the nether black tortoise. Seeing this, he put away his sword and did not continue to slash. Not to mention whether he could break the heaven and earth lock. If he did, wouldn't it release the nether black tortoise and help it recover its strength? He was not that stupid. Author's words. I'm so late today. I'm going to sleep. I've written 1,000,000 words. When I started the book, I really didn't expect to write 1,000,000 words. I also didn't expect that there would be so many readers. Thank you for your continued support. Chapter 478. At that moment, the heavy chain actually locked the nether black tortoise's tortoise head and helped it dodge Ning Tian's final attack, although the heaven and earth lock imprisoned it. But it also saved it at this moment. Even the nether black tortoise was stunned. It never expected that the heaven and earth lock that had trapped it for thousands of years would save its life. It was a little surprised. Could it be those guys don't want me to die? What a headache. Ning Tian rubbed his head helplessly. How am I going to drink tortoise soup? How am I going to add a few more hours? Hey, old tortoise, stick your head out and let me chop it off. The nether black tortoise was stunned. 3 question marks appeared on its head. Stick my head out and let you chop it off? Do you think I'm stupid? However, when it looked at Ning Tian, it happened to see Ning Tian looking at it as if he was looking at an idiot. F***CK. He really thinks I'm stupid. As long as I hide in the heaven and earth lock, this heavenly god constitution can't do anything to me. The nether black tortoise snorted in its heart. Obviously, it had made up its mind. If the enemy doesn't move, I won't move. Sigh. You have to force me to make a move. I'm so kind. I don't want to kill. Looking at the nether black tortoise's arrogant look, Ning Tian shook his head and sighed. The corner of his mouth lifted into a kind smile. Then, a black light flashed in his eyes, and he raised his hand at the nether black tortoise. Death, he muttered softly. Then, the power of law surged. Somewhere on the nether black tortoise's body, a black light flashed. Then, its skin began to necrotize and the flesh inside began to turn black. Obviously, it had lost its vitality. Even with the nether black tortoise's recovery ability, it was useless. Death. Law of death. The nether black tortoise widened its eyes. The several meters of skin on its body had completely necrotized. It couldn't feel anything as if it didn't belong to it. The death aura can only reach a few meters. It seems I'll need 1.5 years to kill you. Looking at the damage caused by the law of death, Ning Tian frowned slightly. He then continued to use the death aura. Although the damage range was small, it was extremely insulting and powerful. I'll slowly torture you to death. Great Master, I was wrong. Little Tortoise knows it was wrong. At this moment, the nether black tortoise was silent for a long time. Then, tears flowed down its old face. Other people were less afraid of death the longer they lived. After all, they had lived enough. However, it was different. It was the nether black tortoise, one of the most living creatures in the world. 10 million years was still very young for it. As soon as it was born, it was King trapped here. It didn't even have the chance to taste a female tortoise. If it died just like that, wouldn't it be too sullen? Furthermore, it was an extremely humiliating way to die. Little Turtle, hearing this, the faces of the few people present darkened. This bastard was really shameless. He had lived for millions of years and still called himself Little Tortoise. The three girls, haha, you're as shameless as your husband. Sui Weiyao giggled. Ning Tian slowly typed a question mark. When had he ever been shameless? The ancestor wasn't shameless. It seemed that this little wife needed to be taught a lesson again. Compared to Little Tortoise, I still prefer the old tortoise. Ning Tian's mouth raised into a playful smile. Yes, the nether black tortoise finally bowed its head to the evil forces. Fellow Taoist Ning, there's no need to play with it. You can't kill it. Even I can't kill it at my peak. At this moment, the death bell in Bai Lu's arms projected a figure. Then, the voice of Tao God reincarnation sounded. F***CK. Old Tao, you still dare to come out? Seeing the figure projected from the death bell, Ning Tian immediately rolled his eyes. If it wasn't for the fact that this old tortoise was only a few thousand meters long, would he be in such a sorry state? Cough. Tao God reincarnation coughed dryly and explained. The last time I saw it, it was indeed only a few thousand meters long. That should be a few million years ago. A few million years. Not far away, the expressions of Di Wuji and the others changed. Looking at the old man who suddenly appeared, their expressions turned serious. He kept talking about a million years, and this God. He was probably also an almighty figure. How did the ancestor know so many experts? Di Wuji was very puzzled. Old Tao, let me tell you. If you don't compensate me with something good, I won't let this matter rest. Ning Tian chattered endlessly. He would never let go of any opportunity to cheat others. Tao God reincarnation was silent. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. He seemed to be able to see fellow Taoist Ning emptying his Tao God mausoleum. He immediately felt a pang of pain. So, fellow Taoist Ning, you should let this nether black tortoise go. It can't die. At least, it can't die now. Even if the Almighty of the Divine Realm comes, they can't kill it. It's already a miracle that fellow Taoist Ning can do this. Tao God reincarnation said slowly. He looked at Ning Tian with a trace of emotion in his eyes. Those guys in the Divine Realm probably didn't expect that the nether black tortoise would be beaten up by someone in the 9 regions. After all, the nether black tortoise's strength wasn't weak. Woo-woo. Hearing Tao God reincarnation's words, the nether black tortoise was moved to tears. It wasn't moved because it could live, but because someone finally called its name correctly. It wasn't easy. Let it go. This won't do. I still want to eat the turtle whip. Ning Tian rejected him without even thinking about it. Hearing this, the nether black tortoise felt a chill and shivered. Tao God reincarnation also shook his head helplessly. Fellow Taoist Ning, the nether black tortoise is in. Even if you eat it, not only will it not nourish you, it will even speed up. For example, stop. Before Tao God reincarnation could finish his words, he was interrupted by Ning Tian. He glared at the nether black tortoise fiercely. This guy's turtle whip was poisonous. Okay, then I will need your 10,000-year-old blood essence. It wasn't Ning Tian's style to let this old bastard go without reaping any benefits. Oh, that's right. I also need a piece of your tortoise shell, a scale of your scarlet python, and, next. Ning Tian said a lot. Anyway, he didn't let go of anything that could be used on the nether black tortoise. When the nether black tortoise heard this, the corner of its mouth twitched. So this guy is going to remove everything from me? But in order to live, it could only do as he was told. Although Ning Tian couldn't kill it, what if he was bored and slowly tortured it to death? Wouldn't that be too humiliating? I have given you everything. Can you let me go now? The nether black tortoise trembled. Looking at the smiling Ning Tian in front of it, it suddenly felt terrified. It seemed to have understood something. When this heaven god body smiled, it was definitely not a good thing. Let you go? Of course, but before you go, I will give you a stamp. Ning Tian's lips curved into a smile. A stamp? Chapter 479. The nether black tortoise was stunned and at a loss. This move is called 8-burying tortoise. The power in Ning Tian's hand surged. He raised his hand slightly and a sun and moon appeared. This was the power of broken burial dusk. Hearing this, the corner of Tao God Reincarnation's mouth twitched. His old face turned black and a few black lines appeared on his forehead. Please, can you not change the name of the move? But soon, the gloominess in his heart disappeared. That was because even though Ning Tian had used broken burial dusk, upon closer inspection, it was a different technique. It was a new technique that he had modified based on his understanding of broken burial dusk. This works too. Tao God Reincarnation frowned and fell into silence. Is the comprehension ability of the heavenly god body really so terrifying? Or is Taoist Ning the only one who has it? Boom. At the same time, the energy in Ning Tian's hand landed heavily on the nether black tortoise. Although the special effect was sufficient, it didn't seem to cause any damage. After the spiritual energy dissipated, the word heaven appeared on the tortoise shell. He clapped his hands with a smile on his face. In this way, I can be considered as half of your master. The nether black tortoise's expression changed slightly. It resisted in its heart. However, the word heaven on the tortoise shell was like a brand that was firmly branded on its body. Moreover, once it had the thought of resisting, there would be a strange energy that sealed its thoughts. This was the move that Ning Tian passed down by using broken burial dusk. Broken burial dusk had a sealing effect. He just guided the sealing effect to the mind. Once the nether black tortoise had any thoughts against him, the seal would seal those thoughts. This made the nether black tortoise unable to have any hostility towards him. This was also a backup plan that Ning Tian left behind. What if this old tortoise escaped from the heaven and earth lock and came to seek revenge? With Broken Burial King 8 branded, there was no need to worry about this. All right, let's go back. Ning Tian waved his hand casually and the storage ring in his hand was filled again. He had cheated the netherworld black tortoise of many good things. Now, it was time to cheat the reincarnation Tao God. Accompanied by the sound of heavy chains being dragged, the nether black tortoise dived into the deep sea. Its huge body had already disappeared, and the entire endless sea region seemed to have returned to peace. However, the surface of the sea was still a mess. Blood dyed the surface of the sea red. Some serene corpses of sea beasts and sea demons floated on the surface of the sea. All right, old man Tao, shouldn't you tell me more about this old bastard? Ning Tian looked at Tao God Reincarnation and said calmly, Fellow Taoist, follow me back to the Tao God Mausoleum. Then, we can talk about it in detail. Reincarnation Tao God did not say much and only shook his head. All right. Ning Tian nodded slightly. Then, he looked at Diwuji and the rest who were not far away. His tone was cold as he warned, Old Emperor, don't speak carelessly about what happened here, lest you get into trouble. Yes, Diwuji and the rest trembled. Then, Ning Tian kept the void ship and brought Sha Tian, who had drunk a stomachful of seawater, and Luo Wuqing and the other 2 girls towards the Tao God Mausoleum. Emperor, what exactly happened? Who exactly is the ancestral master? The officials of the Wuji divine dynasty were all dumbfounded. Even now, they were still a little confused. I don't know. In short, that's an existence we can't provoke. Diwuji shook his head. In such a situation, he was actually a little pale and powerless. Let's go back to the divine dynasty. If anyone dares to speak carelessly about what happened today, their 9 generations will be implicated. Yes, the officials all answered in trembling voices. Quiet Ocean Abyss, Tao God Mausoleum. With Old Man Dao's permission, even Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao could enter the mausoleum. However, He was a little worried when he looked at the little lion that was vomiting seawater all over the ground. Speak, old man Dao. What is the background of the nether black tortoise? Who tied it with the lock of heaven and earth? Ning Tian looked at Dao God Reincarnation. I can't say more. Dao God Reincarnation shook his head slightly. He looked at Ning Tian and said solemnly, those almighties hid the nether black tortoise in the endless sea region to let it stabilize the entire firmament territory. Without it, the entire firmament territory might collapse. Huh. Hearing this, not only did Ning Tian's face change slightly, but even Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao frowned. Unexpectedly, the nether black tortoise was actually so useful. All right. Ning Tian spread out his hands. Although he had doubts, he didn't ask too much. Anyway, it was useless to ask. He smiled, which immediately made Dao God Reincarnation feel uneasy. Now, isn't it time to compensate me? Compensate? What compensation? Dao God Reincarnation played dumb. Sha Tian, dismantle it. Seeing Dao God Reincarnation, Ning Tian didn't waste any time. He directly asked Sha Tian, who had just spat out seawater, to work. He wanted to show Dao God Reincarnation the power of dismantling. Roar? Flame-sealing Lion King widened his eyes. Happiness came so suddenly? Wait, Daoist Ning, I still have a sword technique here. Dao God Reincarnation quickly said. He was instantly terrified. He couldn't let Ning Tian dismantle it. That's right. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth curled up into a smile. While Ning Tian was tricking Dao God Reincarnation, Bai Lu was also drawing circles and cursing Daoist Ning. Phew, not bad. Ning Tian stretched her back and looked around. She realized that the spirit qi in this place was very dense. It was very suitable for cultivation. Old man Dao, it shouldn't be a problem for me to cultivate here for a few months, right? Dao God Reincarnation frowned and was about to refuse. If he let this bandit cultivate in seclusion here, wouldn't all the spiritual energy be taken by him? Ahaha, Dao God, you are really a good person. Then I will cultivate in seclusion here for a while. But before Dao God Reincarnation could refuse, Ning Tian said with a smile. He was shameless to the extreme. He had his eyes on the rich spiritual energy here for a long time. He would refine pills here, break through the heavenly God physique, and comprehend the heavenly Dao. What a perfect plan. Dao God Reincarnation. He sighed helplessly. He couldn't do anything to Ning Tian. Daoist Ning was really shameless. If this kid became a god, wouldn't his title be the Shameless God? Hearing Ning Tian's words, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao looked over and waited for his answer. Husband, you want to cultivate in seclusion here?
Yes.
Ning Tian nodded slightly and looked at the two women with a smile. You two go back to the heavenly spirit region first. Counting the time, the ancient road to godhood is about to open. Let's get ready. When I finish my seclusion, I will return to the heavenly spirit region to find you. The ancient road to godhood. On the side, Dao God Reincarnation's eyes flashed. Okay. Then husband, we will wait for your return in the heavenly spirit region. Hearing Ning Tian's words, the two women felt that it was reasonable. After telling Ning Tian some things, they left the Dao God Mausoleum. Before leaving, they didn't forget to bring the little lion to prevent it from disturbing Ning Tian's seclusion. Chapter 480. Only Ning Tian, Bai Lu, and Reincarnation Dao God were left in the Dao God Mausoleum. Old Dao, why don't you tell me more about the ancient road to becoming a god? Ning Tian looked at Reincarnation Dao God with a smile. The ancient road to becoming a god was about to open. Since there was an expert from the god realm here, he could get some experience first. Ancient road to becoming a god? Heh. However, Reincarnation Dao God sneered. It's nothing more than some tricks from the god realm. What's there to talk about? It was obvious that he disdained the ancient road to becoming a god. Can I not enter the ancient road to becoming a god realm? Ning Tian asked. No. Reincarnation Dao God spread his hands. Then what are you talking about? Ning Tian rolled his eyes at Reincarnation Dao God, then looked at Bai Lu and said, Miss Bai Lu, why don't you draw circles to curse this old man? This old man is very bad. Bai Lu pouted and hugged the death bell. No. Asterisk, 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 caret asterisk. Ning Tian. All right. I can't win against you, father and daughter. Ning Tian spread his hands. He didn't care about Bai Lu's explanation that they weren't father and daughter. He took out an alchemy furnace that he got from Di Wuji and started to refine the elixir for breaking through the heavenly god body. The only key to breaking through the heavenly god body was the black tortoise blood essence. He had surprisingly collected the rest of the materials. Don't ask why. He had tricked so many people, and there were even some who were muddle-headed. Looking at Ning Tian, who had started to refine the elixir, Reincarnation Dao God and Bai Lu floated and watched silently. A few hours later, a fragrant elixir landed in Ning Tian's hand. Phew, I can break through now. Ning Tian let out a long breath and swallowed the elixir. He activated the heavenly god record and started to mobilize the spirit energy in his body to envelop him. His seclusion began. Soon, under Reincarnation Dao God's gloomy expression, the spirit energy in the entire mausoleum surged toward Ning Tian. In the blink of an eye, Ning Tian had been in seclusion for 3 months. Within 3 months, the phenomenon on the ancient road to godhood was becoming more and more obvious. Many experts of the 9 regions were already prepared. They also understood that the opening of the ancient road to godhood was in the celestial spirit domain. Originally, Luo Wuqing was a little worried that the unusual movements on the ancient road to godhood would attract many experts to cast covetous eyes on the heavenly spirit region. However, the strange thing was that these experts were all well-behaved, as if they were still looking for someone. This made the Tianma cult members feel a little strange. And at this moment, in the Dao God Mausoleum, the rich spiritual energy shrouded Ning Tian in all aspects, and this situation had already persisted for 3 months. Senior Dao God, how much longer does fellow Taoist Ning need? I don't know. Maybe soon? You've said this 30 times already, Ovo. On the side, Bai Lu was floating with the death bell in her arms. Dao God Reincarnation was also watching. There was some dust on their bodies, and even some cobwebs. Since Ning Tian had been in seclusion for 3 months, the two of them had maintained this posture, not moving at all. Boom. At this moment, a burst of aura suddenly appeared. Fellow Taoist Ning, it's about to end. Seeing this scene, Bai Lu immediately became spirited. She shook off the dust on her head, and her beautiful eyes fell on Ning Tian. This kid has absorbed 2/3 of the spiritual energy in my mausoleum. It's finally over. Dao God Reincarnation looked pained. When he saw that Ning Tian was done, he heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there was at least 1/3 left for him. This kid is finally back to being a human, Dao God Reincarnation sighed. But, just as he finished speaking, boom, a suction force erupted from Ning Tian's body, instantly absorbing the remaining 1/3 of the spiritual energy. Dao God Reincarnation, F***CK, pretend I didn't say anything. Bai Lu said, fellow Taoist Ning isn't a human anymore. *#. At this moment, the spiritual energy around Ning Tian was surging. His aura kept rising and the system's voice kept ringing in his mind. Congratulations to the host for breaking through to the Heaven God Body stage. Congratulations to the host for comprehending the Heaven Dao manifestation. Host's strength has broken through to the 9-star God Emperor realm. Phew. Ning Tian heaved a sigh of relief and slowly opened his eyes. There was a flash of excitement in his eyes. After 3 months of seclusion, he finally broke through to the 9-star God Emperor realm. As long as he passed the Emperor Tribulation, he would be a great emperor. And the Emperor Tribulation wasn't like a breakthrough. It needed time. If you were strong enough and wouldn't be killed by the Emperor Tribulation, it wouldn't matter even if you went through 9 tribulations in one go. Of course, no one in the world dared to go through 9 tribulations in one go. This was because the Emperor Tribulation was extremely terrifying. Going through 9 tribulations in one go was simply courting death. This feels great. It feels different to break through in someone else's home. Ning Tian stretched and looked satisfied. He felt that he had endless energy in his body. After 3 months of seclusion, it could be said that he had a comprehensive breakthrough. It wasn't just his strength, but also his physique. More importantly, he had even mastered the law of heaven and earth. Hearing this, reincarnation Dao God's mouth trembled. The more he looked at this guy, the more he wanted to beat him up. He looked at Ning Tian and said angrily, "You're done with the breakthrough. Should we leave?" Let's go. There's nothing good left anyway. Ning Tian nodded. He had already scammed all that he could, and there was nothing left to scam. Thus, it was not good to stay here any longer. Reincarnation Dao God was speechless. You've taken all the good things, and you still have the nerve to say that? He rolled his eyes at Ning Tian. Oh right, take Bai Lu away. Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. He thought Bai Lu would stay here and wait for reincarnation Dao God to complete his reincarnation before returning to the divine realm with him. Bai Lu needs to gain experience. It will be helpful for her to walk the ancient road to godhood. Reincarnation Dao God said indifferently. Also, Bai Lu is now an ownerless object. If you are willing, you can leave your mark on her and let her recognize you as her master. Leave my mark. Ning Tian had a strange expression. Why did this old man's words make people think the wrong way? Master recognition, Ning Tian murmured and glanced at Bai Lu. He raised his finger. Miss Bai Lu, do you drink blood to recognize me as your master? No. Bai Lu was speechless. She hugged the death bell and glanced at Ning Tian. Daoist Ning, you don't need to recognize me as your master. When you left the Death Mountain, the death bell had already recognized you as its master. This was what Bai Lu had promised Ning Tian. She naturally wouldn't go back on her words. I see. It actually has the ability to recognize you as its master. Ning Tian nodded slightly. He then turned around and left with Bai Lu. Old Taoist, let's go. The next time we meet, remember to prepare more gifts. Divine artifacts, divine cultivation techniques, and so on. After saying that, the two stepped into the void and disappeared. This guy, Reincarnation Dao God, smiled bitterly and shook his head. A glimmer of light flashed across his eyes as he murmured, I'm looking forward to meeting you in the divine realm. Author's words, empty, numb, and confused. Next, I'll deal with some foreshadowing and step onto the ancient road to godhood. Then, Book Group 1, 897-996, 2000 people. There are almost no vacancies. First come, first served. Book Group 2, 115-087-4306 with lots of vacancies. Chapter 481. In the Dao God Mausoleum. The corner of Dao God Reincarnation's mouth twitched as he sighed helplessly. If he hadn't used his power to protect the Dao God Mausoleum, the brat's breakthrough aura would have torn down his mausoleum completely. Huff, this brat must be here to delay my reincarnation. Dao God Reincarnation sighed deeply and waved his hand. The stone statue in the mausoleum shone with a faint light, and the spiritual energy gradually recovered. He turned into a soul energy and began to absorb it. Wait for my reincarnation to end. I will revive the Jin family. With a murmur, the power of reincarnation enveloped the surroundings. After coming out of the Dao God Mausoleum, Bai Lu hugged the death bell and looked deeply at the stone door. What is it? You can't bear to part with old man Dao? Ning Tian smiled at Bai Lu. Bai Lu shook his head slightly. Holding the death bell in his arms, he looked at Ning Tian seriously. It's not that I can't bear to part with it, but I'm a little emotional. Perhaps if I follow fellow Taoist Ning, I will also live a second life. If Bai Lu's first life was with Dao God Reincarnation, then following Ning Tian would be his second life. Oh, is that so? The corner of Ning Tian's mouth raised into a smile. He looked at Bai Lu meaningfully and said seriously, then, Miss Bai Lu, don't worry. If you follow me, then your life is destined to be exciting. Ovo. Bai Lu nodded heavily and hugged the death bell. After all, I can play with the Empress and Sister Sacred Master in the future. As for what fellow Taoist Ning is, I don't know. Ning Tian was speechless. I'm the master of the death bell after all. Why don't you call me master or Ning Tian-sama? Ning Tian smirked. How about transforming Bai Lu into a maid? What? Bai Lu was stunned. What did fellow Taoist Ning say? Haha, I'm here. Ning Tian laughed. Bai Lu. Haha, nothing much. Let's go back to the heavenly spirit realm. Ning Tian laughed loudly. Then, he rushed out of the sea with Bai Lu. He summoned the void ship and prepared to return to the heavenly spirit region. Before leaving the boundless sea domain, he had also used the death law. A pitiful 9-star god emperor realm sea beast had died peacefully with a snap of his fingers. With the current law of death, even a 9-star god emperor realm expert could be killed instantly. It was simply terrifying. When they left the endless sea domain, Di Wuji and the others seemed to have been waiting for them. Ancestral Master, please wait. Di Wuji shouted as he looked at the void ship that was about to enter the void. His voice seemed to have an effect. The void ship stopped, and a figure appeared in front of him. Old Emperor, are you looking for me? Ning Tian looked at Di Wuji with a slight frown. However, he soon realized that something was wrong. All the buildings in the capital of the everlasting divine dynasty seemed to have been renovated. There were even some remnants of the buildings left at the side. The capital of the divine dynasty seemed to have gone through a great battle. Your capital of the divine dynasty was blown up by someone? Ning Tian had a strange look on his face. This? Di Wuji sighed heavily. The officials behind him also looked helpless. He sighed and said, for the past 3 months, Long Jiang seems to have gone crazy. He has been performing some strange martial arts. When the word demolish appeared in the sky, the buildings in the capital of the divine dynasty would be destroyed. We can't stop him. Behind him, the group of officials also sighed deeply. It was obvious that they had also been greatly affected and were somewhat traumatized. Oh, is that so? Hearing this, Ning Tian smiled knowingly. He understood a lot. The Sealing Flame Lion King must have shown Long Jiang the demolish art. Otherwise, the word demolish would not have appeared. Yes, Di Wuji looked bitter. Ancestral Master, do you know why? I don't. After all, I have never had anything to do with demolishing houses. Ning Tian shook his head and changed the topic. So, you stopped me just to tell me this? No. It's about the ancient road to godhood. Di Wuji quickly shook his head and looked at Ning Tian seriously. By the way, Ancestral Master, do you know that the ancient road to godhood has appeared? Moreover, the location of the ancient road to godhood has appeared. It is in the celestial spirit region where your ancestral home is. Oh, it has appeared? I have been in seclusion for the past few months, so I don't know. Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. He was a little surprised that the ancient road to godhood had appeared. He was slightly relieved. Fortunately, he had come out of seclusion in time. Otherwise, if he had been in seclusion for too long and missed the ancient road to godhood, it would be a little troublesome. The ancient road to godhood is full of dangers and changes. The ancient road is different every time. Therefore, I think that the strength of one person is always limited. Why don't we bind our strength together? In this way, I believe that we will definitely be able to overcome all obstacles. Di Wuji's face was serious as he spoke of great principles. Oh, I understand. Ning Tian nodded and looked at Di Wuji. So, you are saying so much because you want to ride on my coattails. Ahem. After being exposed by Ning Tian, Di Wuji coughed dryly and blushed. I am just using cooperation. If that is the case, let's talk about it when the time comes. Ning Tian was not in a hurry to agree. If the situation was good enough, he did not need Di Wuji at all. But if the situation was bad, it would be another story. He waved his hand and disappeared. Once again, he stepped into the void ship. The void ship quickly turned into a shooting star and disappeared into the void, leaving Di Wuji standing there in a daze. In the distant celestial spirit region, in the sky, a thick and tightly shut door could be vaguely seen. Clouds and mist lingered around it. Many cultivators wanted to get close, but before they could even get close, they were crushed into minced meat by the terrifying pressure. That was at the door to the ancient road to godhood. When they opened it, the ancient road to godhood would be opened. Somewhere in the sky, the void opened, and a huge void ship rushed out of the void. In an instant, A violent gust of wind whistled past. The entire celestial spirit region had become a little different because of the appearance of the ancient road to godhood. The spirit chi was rich, and many powerful cultivators had appeared. Huff! Ning Tian stood on the deck. The wind blowing in his face made his clothes flutter. The wind is really strong. The air in the celestial spirit region is still fresh. Don't you think so, Bai Lu? Ah. Fellow Taoist Ning, what did you say? The wind is too strong. I didn't hear you clearly, asterisk. Bai Lu hugged the death bell tightly and swayed in the wind. Forget it. It's fine, you silly girl. Ning Tian rolled his eyes at Bai Lu. Then, he stretched and smiled. Huff, it's about time. Let's get ready to return to the Tianma cult. Bai Lu. Oh, there are more updates. Chapter 482. Tianma Cult. Atop a boulder, a lion cub was swinging its legs in boredom, instructing a group of disciples to cultivate. Life as a lion was meaningless to it. Roar! It let out a low growl. If the ancestral master was here, he would definitely bring it around to tear down houses. Roar! It was the 90th day of missing the ancestral master. Boom! Rumble! At this moment, heaven and earth shook. The Lion King got up from the boulder and looked up at the sky with a group of Tianma cult disciples. A huge battleship emerged. Roar! That man is finally back. The Lion King's eyes widened. Then, it looked at the group of disciples and roared at them, telling them to continue cultivating. Then, it quickly ran toward the demonic palace. The group of disciples was left puzzled. What did Lord Shatian say? I don't know. Anyway, I only know that the ancestral master is back. The legendary ancestral master of the Tianma cult and even the sky spirit realm is back. Those foreign powerhouses won't dare to act recklessly, right? Looking at the void ship in the sky, the group of Tianma cult disciples was filled with excitement. In the past 3 months, many powerhouses from the 9 regions had come to the sky spirit realm. There were even more than before. Last time, it was just some small fries who came to investigate. This time, it was different. They were genuine powerhouses. The ancestral master is back. He will definitely be able to subdue these powerhouses. The disciples were excited and looked forward to it. Inside the demonic palace, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao were commanding all the powerhouses of the sky spirit realm. Both of them were in the demigod realm. The powerhouses of the sky spirit realm had long been convinced by the 2 women. Everyone, if any foreign powerhouses attack, don't hesitate to kill them. In the palace, Luo Wuqing wore a long white and blue dress that outlined her slim figure. Coupled with her cold aura, she appeared even more lofty. Su Yueyao wore a purple gauze dress. Although she wasn't cold, everyone knew that she wasn't weak at all. Kill them directly? The king of God Nation frowned and hesitated. Isn't this a little too arrogant? On the side, many experts of the heavenly spirit region nodded in agreement. Wouldn't this make them the target of public criticism? Haha, arrogant? Su Yueyao giggled like a blooming flower. Her beautiful eyes moved slightly. I think we have the right to be arrogant. Don't tell me we should be afraid of some cats and dogs prancing around in front of us? Really? King of Scandinavia? The divine nation's sovereign's expression froze. He quickly shook his head and said, No, Sacred Lord, you misunderstood me. I'm afraid that our actions will become an excuse for those foreign experts to attack us. Excuse? Where's the excuse? If they wanted to make a move, they wouldn't even need an excuse. Luo Wuqing shook his head slightly and said indifferently, The strong are respected. Whoever has the biggest fist has the right to speak. Your diplomatic means of regulating Scandinavia are now useless. If they want to kill us, we'll gladly oblige. They're just some weaklings. Luo Wuqing sneered. Her beautiful eyes were full of coldness. She wasn't afraid of mere experts from the 9 regions. Yes, Empress. Hearing this, the Supreme Elder and the Divine Nation's sovereign were shocked. She was indeed the Empress. She was indeed domineering. By the way, at this time, The Supreme Elder seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao and said, "Is the founder still in seclusion? Now that the portal to the ancient road to godhood has appeared, if the founder is still in seclusion and misses the ancient road to godhood." Hearing this, the surrounding experts frowned. It doesn't matter. Luo Wuqing wasn't worried. She waved her hand and said indifferently, "My husband's cultivation is more important. He can't be disturbed. If he misses the ancient road to godhood, then so be it. Yueyao and I won't go to the ancient road to godhood." She understood that Ning Tian was now in the transition period of his heavenly god body. He couldn't be disturbed. Otherwise, she wouldn't have taken Sha Tian away. Hee, that's right. Su Yueyao also nodded with a smile. Hearing this, the group of experts in the main hall felt sour. Just becoming a god. Although it was only 4 words, it represented a lot of things. In the Tianxian continent, almost all cultivators were destined from the moment they were born. That was to become a god. Only by stepping into the god realm could one's life be extended indefinitely. Becoming a god was their ultimate goal. Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao were already in the demigod realm. As long as they obtained the guide to godhood, they could become gods on the spot. It could be said that the two of them had stepped onto the ancient road to godhood. That meant they had a high chance of becoming a god. And now, if Ning Tian missed the ancient road to godhood, they were willing to give it up for him. One should know that once the ancient road to godhood appeared, the next time it appeared was unknown. Some cultivators might miss it forever if they missed it. Hiss! The Supreme Elder and the others looked solemn. They didn't expect the Empress and Sacred Lord to have such deep feelings for the founder. Their feelings were stronger than gold. Roar! Roar! At this moment, outside the main hall, a small lion ran in and roared at Luo Wuqing. Then, it took out a small wooden tablet and wrote the word lion on it. My husband is back? Hearing this, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao's eyes lit up. They looked at each other and disappeared in an instant, heading out of the main hall. Seeing this scene, the group of experts in the main hall shook their heads helplessly. Chapter 483. No, I'm completely out of seclusion. Ning Tian chuckled. His aura circulated slightly, revealing a trace of mysterious power. Our ancestral master has become stronger again. Seeing Ning Tian and feeling that formless pressure, the Supreme Elder and the others were shocked. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. They felt that it was a little strange. Wasn't their patriarch already at the demigod realm? Why do they feel that our ancestral master has become stronger every time they see him? Could it be our ancestral master's cultivation can be superimposed? At this moment, the Supreme Elder and the others were shocked. As expected of our ancestral master, awesome. How can he be like this? You shocked the Supreme Elder. You shocked the Lord of the Divine Nation. You shocked. Ning Tian, who was talking and laughing with the 2 women, suddenly heard the system's voice in his mind. He couldn't help but frown. What the hell are these guys thinking? Reward, kindness aura. After others cultivate it, they will feel a sense of closeness to the host and will not be hostile. Kindness aura? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows, and his expression was a little strange. How can I let others cultivate this thing? You want this ancestral master to trick people again? Honey, have there been any movements from those experts from other regions recently? Ning Tian put away the kindness aura and then looked at Luo Wuqing and asked. On the way back to the Tianma cult with Bai Lu, they also saw many experts from other regions. There are movements. They seem to be looking for someone. Luo Wuqing thought for a moment and said, "Looking for someone?" Ning Tian frowned slightly. These foreign experts were either on the way to find something or someone. It was really strange. Did you find out who they are looking for? Ning Tian asked. No. Luo Wuqing shook his head. However, some experts from other regions went to the Ill Wind mountain range. They should be going for divine punishment, Su Yueyao said, but we didn't stop them. After all, divine punishment has been taken away. Divine punishment, looking for someone. Strange? Ning Tian frowned. At this moment, there was a loud rumble in the sky. Then, warships from the outer domain appeared in the sky. Powerful auras appeared in the sky, startling every disciple of the Tianma cult to look up. Foreign experts? Seeing this scene, the Supreme Elder and the others instantly became serious. Spiritual chi flowed out, and they were ready to fight at any time. Hubby, they are the ones who went to the Ill Wind mountain range. Sui Weiyao approached Ning Tian and whispered in his ear. According to her intelligence, the strange man made of gravel was among those who went to the Chill Wind mountain range to search for the power of heavenly punishment. At this moment, the strange man was in the battleship above. Could it be that they discovered that there was no heavenly punishment and even traced it back to the Tianma cult? Ning Tian frowned slightly. Were these experts from other regions so smart? If they dare to act recklessly, then just kill them. Luo Wuqing's tone was indifferent and emotionless. Okay. Ning Tian nodded slightly. Spiritual chi flowed out of his body quietly. Is this the overlord of the heavenly spirit realm, the Tianma cult? There were at least a few hundred battleships in the sky. Experts from several regions had gathered together. At this moment, the human figure, whose body was made of gravel, was looking at the crowd below with an indifferent expression. What else? Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile as he looked at the group of experts calmly. He did not show any signs of fear. Oh. Sha Qiu of the Sand God clan raised his eyebrows and said indifferently, Do you know Ning Buxu? Ning Buxu? Hearing this, the experts of the Tianma cult were stunned. They looked at the indifferent Ning Tian with strange expressions. Strange. Ning Buxu seemed to be the alias of their patriarch in the firmament territory. These foreign experts were here to find their patriarch? Oh, why are you looking for Ning Buxu? Ning Tian acted as if he did not know who Ning Buxu was. Behind him, Luo Wuqing, Sui Weiyao, and Bai Lu had already activated their demigod auras. If they found out that they wanted to kill their patriarch, they would attack immediately. Of course we are looking for Ning Buxu. As for you, you don't deserve to know. Sha Qiu sneered and looked arrogant. Oh, really? The smile on Ning Tian's face became more and more benevolent. He looked at the group with a smile and said, That's unfortunate. I am the Ning Buxu you're looking for. As soon as he finished speaking, an enormous aura emerged from his body. The three women behind him also released their demigod auras. The Supreme Elder and the other experts were also eyeing him covetously. At this moment, a great battle seemed to be about to break out. However, you are Ning Buxu? Sha Qiu was stunned for a moment. The group of experts behind him also looked at Ning Tian, sizing him up very seriously. This person looks quite handsome. According to Taoist nihility god, Ning Buxu is a very handsome and kind person. While this young man is handsome, he always has a smile on his face. He looks very kind at first glance. That should be Ning Buxu. Seeing that this group of experts not only did not attack, but also talked about him, Ning Tian could not help but be stunned. Why are these guys so sweet? However, he heard a familiar name from the mouths of these fellows. Nihility God Emperor. Old Su? Ning Tian frowned and looked at the group of experts in the sky and asked, What is going on? On the battleship, Patriarch Sha Qiu looked at Ning Tian and sincerely said, Thank you, fellow Taoist Ning. Fellow Taoist is indeed someone who has calculated everything. Although the final result hasn't changed, fellow Taoist heart has moved us. Ning Tian carefully typed a question mark. Who are you? Do I know you? However, doubts were doubts. However, he did not show it. Instead, he smiled and said, Haha, after all, if you want to grasp the secrets of heaven, you have to try to change them. This is the true essence of the divination technique. I see. You are indeed Taoist Ning. Hearing this, the group of experts showed a different expression. Unexpectedly, Taoist Ning was not afraid of the heavenly Tao and dared to face the divination technique directly. It should be known that the experts they knew were all afraid of the divination technique and did not dare to reveal it. However, Ning Buxu was different. He was a man. So what happened? After all, I can't remember the divination technique. At this time, Ning Tian happened to be puzzled. Haha, it's like this. The clan leader of the Sand God clan told them everything. After he finished, the group of people from the Tianma cult had strange expressions. F***CK? Is this even possible? Could it be that this was a typical case of being bought by someone and still counting money for them? Acknowledging a thief as your father? The person who drove your spies out of the heavenly spirit domain is Ning Buxu, the person you want to thank. Oh, I see. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth lifted slightly. It seemed that he did not deceive old Su in vain. He had learned everything he needed to learn. So, other than thanking me, what else do you want from me? Haha, you are indeed Taoist Ning. You can see that we have other purposes at a glance. Shacho laughed. The group of experts from other domains also confirmed Ning Tian's identity. However, Ning Tian only wanted to say, how can a group of people come to me to thank me? We saw a magical sapling in the gloomy Wind Mountain range. It has great power. We specially brought it here to ask Taoist Ning to take a look and help us calculate what it is. Sapling? Ning Tian was stunned. Wasn't the unknown tree in his dantian? Could it be another sapling grew? However, in the next second, when Sha Qiu took out the magical sapling, he had a strange expression and almost laughed out loud. It was indeed a magical sapling. Author's words, the third update has been published. From now on, I will update in the early morning. I can't stay up all night. It's a little difficult. Don't read it in the early morning. Don't deliberately wait. It's not necessary. Your health is more important. Don't deliberately wait. In the end, you can't ask for banknotes anymore. The number of banknotes decreased day by day. Chapter 484. Sha Qiu was holding a magical object that looked no different from the weeds on the roadside. It was shrouded in a ball of light and carried a trace of Tian Fa's aura. It was no different from a weed. Ning Tian was very familiar with this weed. It was the one he put there casually. However, he didn't expect that this unintentional action of his was treated as a treasure by the experts from the other regions. Although Ning Tian was very familiar with this weed, he still pretended to be puzzled and looked at Sha Qiu and the other foreign experts. Taoist Ning, this is the reason why we came to find you today. Sha Qiu smiled and looked at the magical sapling in his hand with a trace of passion. He said slowly, this is a group of experts. However, before he could finish his words, Ning Tian raised his hand and interrupted him. Why don't you let me do a divination? Ning Tian's spirit qi transformed into a folding fan, which gave off the feeling of a deathly fortune teller. His folding fan swayed slightly, and a few stars appeared. He executed a spirit art that dazzled Sha Qiu and the others before he slowly spoke. I think this should be the ancient tree of Tian Fa. Tian Fa. Sha Qiu and the others' eyes lit up when they heard this. Although they did not know what the Tian Fa ancient tree was, they had heard of the Tian Fa before. Originally, they had guessed that the sapling that grew in the Tian Fa ancient tree might be related to the Tian Fa ancient tree. Now that they heard Ning Buxu's words, their eyes lit up. Haha, Patriarch, with the ancient tree of Tian Fa, you will be able to show your invincible power on the ancient road to godhood. Some Sand God clan experts started to laugh. Not all the experts here would go to the ancient road to godhood. After all, there were only a few spots. Haha. Sha Qiu laughed and was a little excited. He then looked at Ning Tian and said, Taoist Ning, you are indeed worthy of being called Taoist Ning. You can see through it at a glance. That's right. This is the famous ancient tree of Tian Fa. Hearing Sha Qiu spouting nonsense with a straight face, Ning Tian felt embarrassed for him. The famous tree of heaven's punishment was just something he made up. I didn't expect you guys to be able to find the Tian Fa ancient tree. I'm really envious, Ning Tian sighed. He pretended to be envious and said, with the ancient tree of heaven punishment, you will be able to display your divine power on the ancient road to godhood and obtain the guide to godhood. I seem to be able to see the divine realm beckoning to you all. Haha. Then I'll have to rely on fellow Taoist Ning's auspicious words. Sha Xiao and the others burst into laughter when they heard Ning Tian's words. They instantly felt that victory was in their hands. They were quite confident in their own strength. Now that they had the ancient tree of heavenly punishment, who could stop them? Do you know how to absorb the heavenly punishment? Ning Tian suddenly asked. Absorption method? Hearing this, the smiles on the faces of Sha Qiu and the others froze. They frowned and asked in confusion, Fellow Taoist Ning, what did you mean? Can the heavenly punishment be absorbed and not comprehended? Not really. Ning Tian shook his head slightly. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. He began to bluff in a serious manner. The law of heaven and earth is not something you can comprehend. You. Sha Qiu and the others' faces changed. Was Ning Buxu looking down on them? However, before they could get angry, Ning Buxu continued, only godly realm experts can comprehend the law of heaven and earth. We can only absorb it. There is a big difference between absorbing and comprehending. Could it be that you think you have reached the level of godly realm experts? This? Sha Qiu and the others' faces softened when they heard this. Although Ning Buxu seemed to be pointing at their noses and scolding them, it seemed that they could not refute him. After all, how could they be qualified to take advantage of godly realm experts? So, we are going to absorb the law of heavenly punishment. Coincidentally, I have a method to absorb it. Ning Tian's lips curled up into a kind smile. He looked at Sha Qiu and the others and said, since we are fated to meet, why don't I impart it to you? Ancestral Master? The Grand Elder and the others were stunned for a moment. However, they reacted quickly. This was their ancestral master. How could he be so kind? There must be something fishy. Who hadn't been tricked by their ancestral master before? After being stunned for a moment, they reacted. Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao looked at them indifferently from the beginning. They seemed to have understood Ning Tian's actions. Fated to meet us? Sha Qiu and the others were stunned. They looked at the kind Ning Tian and couldn't help but frown. Fellow Taoist Ning looks very kind. But, is he really so kind? He can impart it to us, but, fellow Taoist Ning, you have to comprehend it first. Sha Qiu was afraid of a trick at first glance. He looked at Ning Tian and said faintly. Hearing this, Ning Tian smiled knowingly and said, no problem. He was afraid that these guys wouldn't be fooled and his aura of kindness would be wasted. Immediately, Ning Tian took the ancient tree of heavenly punishment from Sha Qiu and pretended to fiddle with it. Sha Qiu and the others were dazzled. Was it so troublesome to absorb the law of heavenly punishment? Soon, an aura condensed in Ning Tian's hand. Everyone, I've tried my best. After all, with my aptitude, this is all I can do. As he spoke, he raised his hand. It was a faint trace of the law of heavenly punishment. It's really effective. Seeing this, Sha Qiu and the others' eyes lit up. They immediately showed a satisfied smile. It seems that fellow Taoist Ning's absorption method is really effective. I wonder when fellow Taoist Ning is willing to teach us? As he spoke, he took the ancient tree of heavenly punishment from Ning Tian. He was afraid that Ning Tian would continue to absorb it. Well, I can do it now. Ning Tian showed a smile. Okay. Sha Qiu and the others nodded vigorously. Next, under the guidance of Ning Tian, Sha Qiu and the other experts began to cultivate the so-called absorption method. Fellow Taoist Ning, why do you have to circle 3 times to the left and 3 times to the right? Absorption needs. Fellow Taoist Ning, why do you have to pinch your nose and walk in circles? Absorption needs. Next, they had various strange cultivation postures. But when they asked Ning Tian, they all answered with the words absorption needs. They saw with their own eyes that Ning Tian had grasped a trace of the law of heavenly punishment. Naturally, they didn't doubt it. Just like that, Sha Qiu and the others have cultivated the aura of kindness. It is taking effect. When the system's voice sounded in his mind, Ning Tian showed a smile and looked at Sha Qiu and the others playfully. Congratulations on your success. Go back and cultivate well. Just comprehend it. Really? Why don't I feel any change? Sha Qiu and the others felt strange. There was no law of heavenly punishment in their bodies, but they suddenly felt a sense of familiarity with Ning Tian. It was as if Ning Tian was their father. Go back and comprehend it well. There will naturally be a miraculous effect. Ning Tian said with a smile. These people weren't strong. Only Shachio had stepped into the demigod realm. The rest were 9 tribulations' great emperors. It was easy for them to kill them, but there were free fighters. Why wouldn't they? It's father. Ah no. Fellow Taoist Ning. The few of them felt more and more strange as they looked at Ning Tian, who was becoming more and more amiable. They almost let the cat out of the bag. They didn't dare to hesitate any longer and quickly led their subordinates away. If this continued, they would really call Ning Tian daddy. Author's words, to be honest, this chapter is a bit lame. But this plot has to be finished. Otherwise, the grass and the aura of kindness that Ning Tian casually threw out before won't work. This is also to give Ning Tian some free combat power on the ancient road to godhood. But I don't want to write so much. I can only speed up this chapter. Otherwise, I can write 3 chapters for this plot alone, but there is really no need. So this chapter looks a bit awkward. In short, Ning Tian tricked them to cultivate the aura of kindness to lay the foundation for his own ancient road to godhood. There are still 2 chapters left. Chapter 485. Phew. Another free source of combat power. Looking at the sky where Sha Qiu and the other experts' battleships were flying away from the heavenly demon cult, Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile as he let out a long sigh of relief. With the power of kindness, they would become his fighters on the ancient road to godhood. Hiss! Hearing the patriarch's murmur, the supreme elder and the lord of the divine nation gasped and twitched their mouths. They had assumed that there would be a fierce battle when these foreign elites came to the sky demon cult with such ferocity, but their patriarch had resolved it with a few words. Moreover, from the patriarch's words, it seemed that these guys were already under his control. What the hell? How did this become free fighting force for the patriarch? It was quite sudden. A half-baked demigod and a few 9 tribulation great emperors can only be cannon fodder. Luo Wuqing said lightly. If she hadn't seen through Ning Tian's plan, she would have slapped Sha Qiu and the others to death. Although they were all demigods, the gap between them was like heaven and earth. Haha, then be cannon fodder. It's better than nothing. Ning Tian laughed. The ancient road to godhood was full of dangers, and some people had to be their stepping stones. Sha Qiu and the others just happened to come here, so they couldn't blame him. Well, honey, I have something to give you. Ning Tian looked at Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao. What is it? Luo Wuqing's pretty face showed a trace of confusion. Is it for our children? Su Yueyao licked her red lips and giggled. She looked at Ning Tian. They hadn't seen each other for 3 months. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. She missed him very much. Well, that's fine. Little wife, now that you mention it, I'm in the mood. Ning Tian touched his chin, thought for a moment, and nodded. He took the 2 women's hands, stepped into the air, and disappeared in an instant. Then it's decided. Honey, let's finish the battle first, and then I'll give you something. Hey, don't make a decision on your own. Luo Wuqing's somewhat helpless voice could still be heard from the disappearing space. These 2 fellows, every time they fought, they just had to drag him along. Outside the hall, a group of people had subtle expressions on their faces, as if they understood what was going on. Could it be the patriarch and the others were still on the ancient road to godhood, giving birth to a child for them to play with? When Bai Lu heard the discussion of the Grand Elder and the others, she thought of the small book she had just seen. Her little face became even redder. She hugged the death bell and squatted in the corner, burying her slightly hot little face in her arms. Several days later, the news of the heavenly spirit region's ancient road to godhood had spread throughout the 9 regions. All the experts knew the location of the ancient road. When they arrived at the heavenly spirit region and saw the huge stone gate in the sky, their faces turned grave. The cultivators of the 9 regions were all waiting. They were waiting for the stone door to open and the ancient road to godhood opened. Behind the Tianma cult, in a small house. Phew! Ning Tian stretched and looked very satisfied. It seemed that his title of Ning Buxu was not in vain. He had gained 0.33 seconds more than last time. The two women put on their clothes. Luo Wuqing glared at this guy with shame and anger. Originally, she did not think much about the immortal realm. Now, she could not wait to become a god immediately. That way, she could at least suppress this guy. Now, both of them were no match for him. Haha, Sui Weiyao did not think much of it. She licked her red lips, still wanting more. Hee, my two wives have worked hard. Come, give me a kiss. Ning Tian chuckled out. After all, 3 months of seclusion was truly a little unbearable. Once it was released, there was no stopping it. Go to hell. Luo Wuqing rolled her eyes at him. Then, she stretched tiredly, outlining her perfect curves. She looked at Ning Tian and asked, now that we are done with the business, can you tell us what you want to give us? Haha, didn't I just give it to you? Ning Tian laughed and said meaningfully. Luo Wuqing blushed and rolled her eyes at Ning Tian. It's useless even if you give it to me. You're still a 9-star god emperor now. Wait until you break through to the demigod realm, then we can talk about it slowly. Ning Tian spread his hands, looking very confident. It might be difficult to become a demigod. As for the imperial tribulation, wasn't it fine as long as he had hands? It was just that he was too lazy to go through it now. Don't forget how Ning Tian had come so far. He had experienced the lightning tribulation the most. The imperial tribulation was just a higher level of the lightning tribulation, but he was still confident. As for why he didn't go through it now, he had his own plans. Tell me, do we want a girl, a boy, or both? Ning Tian smirked. Looking at Luo Wuqing, whose face was gradually turning red, he laughed. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. After speaking, he used the dispelling knowledge skill. 2 halos appeared in his hands, and he looked at the 2 girls. The ancient road to godhood is about to open. Even if it's you, I think you should be careful. This time, we will not only face the strongest of the 9 regions, but also the unknown dangers on the ancient road. So, only by becoming stronger can we protect ourselves. This is the comprehension of the time law and the death law. Previously, when you swallowed the Tao fruit, your bodies have already adapted to the laws. With the comprehension of these 2 laws, you might be able to truly comprehend the laws of heaven and earth before the ancient road to godhood. The 2 girls were blessed by the heavens. Their aptitudes were slightly inferior to Ning Tian. After all, their heavenly god bodies were incomparable. Now that they had the dispelling knowledge skill, comprehending the laws of heaven and earth was just a matter of time. Okay, got it. Hearing Ning Tian's serious words, the 2 girls nodded and each took the comprehension of the laws of heaven and earth. Okay, then hurry up. The ancient road to godhood will open at any time. By the way, Ning Tian was halfway through his words when he suddenly frowned. He sensed a familiar aura. Honey, what's the matter? Sui Weiyao asked. It's that damn fortune teller. He's probably looking for me for something. Ning Tian said casually, looking indifferent. Ignore him for now. Continue what we were saying just now. During this time, don't worry about cultivating. I'll take care of the Tianma cult. Okay, then I'll go first. After speaking, Ning Tian disappeared on the spot. This guy really pulls up his pants and leaves. Sui Weiyao snorted. Scumbag. In the outside world. In the sky above the Tianma cult. Damn fortune teller, why are you looking for me? Ning Tian's figure flashed and stepped out of the void. He looked at Chen Gajiang, who was holding a folding fan in his hand, and asked with a frown. Naturally, it's about the ancient road to godhood. Chen Gajiang waved the folding fan in his hand and said with a smile, Fellow Taoist Ning, do you want to learn the divination art? Author's words. There's one more. Chapter 486. Tianma Cult, Stormwind House. Damn fortune teller. What did you just say? Divination? Ning Tian took a sip of tea and looked at Chen Gajiang. That's right. Chen Gajiang nodded slightly and sipped his tea calmly. Oh, Hearing this, Ning Tian put down his teacup and rubbed his chin. He was suddenly interested. He looked at Qin Gaijiang and raised his eyebrows. Damn fortune teller. You're so kind as to teach me divination? Of course. Qin Gaijiang also put down his teacup and looked at Ning Tian. Taoist Ning, have you ever heard of divination that leads to divine retribution? I've heard of it. Ning Tian nodded. And in my divination pavilion, all the pavilion masters died from divine retribution because they couldn't escape from divine retribution, Qin Gaijiang said slowly. Oh. Ning Tian frowned and said unhappily, so you're saying that you're going to suffer divine retribution, and that's why you're teaching me your divination. Are you trying to drag me down with you? Sorry, I'm afraid of death. It's fine if you don't learn the divination. Qin Gaijiang was speechless. What, you're not afraid of death? Ning Tian said seriously. He wasn't so hypocritical and righteous. If he was afraid of death, he was afraid of death. It wasn't a disgrace. Who wasn't afraid of death? Qin Gaijiang was speechless again and shook his head helplessly. My divine retribution hasn't come yet, but Taoist Ning's divine retribution definitely won't come. He paused for a moment. Then he looked at Ning Tian seriously. At least it won't be because of the divination. Because you have no divine retribution. The divine retribution won't fall on you. If you master the divination, as long as you're strong enough, you'll be able to calculate divine retribution without fear. Even Qin Gaijiang looked a little excited when he mentioned the divine retribution. Oh, in other words, I can use the divination limitlessly without worrying about the consequences. Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. To be precise, that is indeed the case. Qin Gaijiang nodded. When old ancestor Wang Tian had told him that Ning Tian did not have the mandate of heaven, he was even more certain of his suspicions. Unfortunately, old ancestor Wang Tian had basically become a cripple after divining Ning Tian's mandate of heaven. This was the price of divining the secrets of the heavens. This is also the reason why I believe in fellow Taoist Ning among all the heavenly god bodies. Qin Gaijiang looked at Ning Tian seriously and said slowly, the previous celestial bodies all had their own destiny, but you have no destiny. This is why I believe in you. Your destiny is in your own hands and not in the hands of the heavens. This world is far from what I imagined it to be. It's even more exciting. Qin Gaijiang's eyes flashed. Perhaps, Ning Tian said faintly, but many thoughts were running through his mind. No destiny? Could it be that the soul of the original owner had already died, and this new soul from another world was not originally from the Tianxian land, so the heavenly law could not control him? Interesting. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly as he looked at Qin Gaijiang. All right, give it to me. Qin Gaijiang nodded slightly and took out a scroll. I'll say this first. The heavenly secret technique of each generation is different, so there is only the initial template of the heavenly secret technique. As for how well you can use the heavenly secret technique, it all depends on you, fellow Taoist Ning. I understand. Ning Tian took the scroll and put it in his storage ring after weighing it for a while. Fellow Taoist Ning, are you not going to comprehend it? If there is anything you don't understand, maybe I can give you some pointers. Seeing that Ning Tian did not even look at it, Qin Gaijiang could not help but be a little confused. No need. Comprehending the heavenly secret technique is as simple as drinking tea for me. The important thing is how to comprehend my own heavenly secret technique. Ning Tian waved her hand slightly and took a sip of tea after saying that. Qin Gaijiang, although I feel that fellow Taoist Ning's words are somewhat reasonable, I suspect that you are just pretending. Fellow Taoist, do your best. Every ancient road to godhood is filled with killing. Not many people can survive, and not many people can become gods. Many of those who become gods also die in the divine domain. In short, I believe that even the divine domain can't stop your footsteps. Qin Gaijiang sighed and said, perhaps. Ning Tian held her teacup and said faintly. The two drank tea in place of wine and enjoyed it. Outside in the sky, cultivators from various regions came and went, all waiting for the ancient road to open. A month had passed. More and more experts gathered in the heavenly spirit region. In the sky, the tightly shut stone door also slowly opened. emitting a suffocating pressure of the heavenly Tao and a unique power. The experts of the 9 regions all knew that this power was divine power. It was divine power from the God realm. Tianma cult. Boom. The surrounding houses were destroyed, accompanied by a series of exclamations, which attracted the attention of many experts in the Tianma cult. The ancestral master has come out of seclusion. Ning Tian walked out of the ruins. His face was full of stubble, and he seemed to have experienced many vicissitudes of life. Seeing this, the Grand Elder and the others were puzzled. What had the ancestral master experienced? It had only been a month, but to the ancestral master, it was like spring and autumn had passed. Phew! Ning Tian breathed a long sigh of relief. His spirit energy moved slightly, and the stubble on his face fell. Although it had only been a month, he had stayed in the sand of time domain for a full year. That was why he was so different from the outside world. Although his strength had not increased, he had comprehended what he needed to comprehend. He just did not want to improve his strength. Where are Wuqing and Yu Yao? Ning Tian asked slowly as he looked at the people of the Tianma cult. His voice was a little hoarse at first, but it quickly recovered to its usual cheerful tone. Ancestral Master, the Empress and the Holy Master have not come out of seclusion, the Grand Elder said respectfully. Although the Ancestral Master's strength had not increased, he still gave them an invisible pressure that was enough to make them breathless. I got it. Ning Tian nodded slightly and said indifferently, what about Bai Lu? Miss Bai Lu is handling the sex affairs, the Grand Elder said. Hearing this, Ning Tian felt a little embarrassed. He had wanted to handle the sex affairs himself, but this month, he had gone to comprehend the divine secret art and consolidate his strength. Once again, he had become a shopkeeper who did nothing. How is the ancient road to godhood? Ancestral Master, the ancient road to godhood. Before the Grand Elder could finish his words, suddenly, boom, boom, a series of explosions could be heard in the sky. Then, an invisible pressure of the heavenly Tao spread out from the stone door and enveloped the entire Tianling domain in an instant. Under this pressure, the Grand Elder and the others could not resist at all. With a thump, they fell to their knees. They were completely powerless under the pressure of the heavenly Tao. Only Ning Tian was still standing in the same place. Although he was affected, he was still able to stand firm. He looked at the sky with a solemn expression and muttered to himself, the ancient road to godhood has finally opened. Author's words, these chapters are transitional. There is definitely some water, and it is also a little boring, but there is no other way. There must be a transition period before entering the ancient road. We can't enter it all at once. I can only try my best to shorten the transition period. Tomorrow, we will officially enter the ancient road. It's not easy. Chapter 487. In the sky, the stone gate that was thousands of meters wide opened slowly. The ancient and mysterious runes on the stone gate lit up slowly, and a force that could make everyone submit to it condensed. Boom. Rumble. At the same time, strange phenomena appeared all over the 9 regions. The rivers stopped flowing, and strange flames fell from the sky. At this moment, countless cultivators in the 9 regions raised their heads and looked at the sky with burning eyes. The stone gate in the sky opened slowly, emitting the pressure of the heavenly Tao, which made all the cultivators look at it with burning eyes. That was the place they yearned for, the ancient road to godhood. Legend had it that those who stepped on the ancient road to godhood could enter the divine realm if they obtained the guide to godhood. They could then go to the divine realm, where the real fighting power of the mysterious sky world was, the divine realm. Although it was only 2 words, it represented the yearning of countless people. The ancient road to godhood, it's finally opened again. Countless cultivators were excited and looked at the sky. I wonder which domain's most powerful expert will come out of the ancient road to godhood and enter the divine realm. Some cultivators couldn't help but guess. Every time the ancient road to godhood ended, the heavenly Tao would announce the result of the ancient road to godhood. This result would affect the development of the 9 regions. Once someone from a sect entered the divine realm, his sect would also be affected. As the saying went, when a man achieves the Tao, his chickens and dogs will also ascend to heaven. The last time the ancient road to godhood opened was not long ago, but no one became a god. It seems that someone succeeded tens of thousands of years ago. The one who left the deepest impression on me was the previous emperor of the limitless divine dynasty in the firmament territory. TSK, Tisk, I wonder if someone will succeed this time. Due to the opening of the ancient road to godhood, the 9 regions were in an uproar. The heavenly spirit territory, the pressure that lasted for nearly half an hour, finally came to an end. This was the place where the ancient road to godhood opened, so the pressure here was far greater than that of the other spirit realms. At this moment, all the cultivators were panting for breath. They were sweating profusely and their faces were pale. The spirit chi in their bodies had already dissipated. Some of the weaker cultivators had already collapsed on the ground. All the cultivators looked at the stone gate in the sky. There was not only fanaticism in their eyes, but also a kind of respect for the heavenly Tao and the divine realm. Tianma cult, the Grand Elder and the other elders' backs were drenched in cold sweat. Their bodies were trembling, and their hearts were filled with fear. This was merely the opening of the ancient road to godhood. Wouldn't the heavenly Tao suppression be even stronger? If the Patriarch and the others went to the ancient road to godhood, at this moment, the Supreme Elder and the other elders couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat for Ning Tian. After climbing up from the ground, they all looked at Ning Tian. However, when they looked over, their expressions changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with shock and reverence. Under the terrifying pressure of the heavenly Tao, the ancestral master actually acted as if nothing had happened. The expression on his handsome face remained indifferent. His eyes were cold, his brows were relaxed, and his body was ramrod straight. Not even a trace of cold sweat flowed down from his body. Even the fluctuation of spiritual energy did not appear. It was as though, to the ancestral master, it was as if the pressure of the heavenly Tao no longer existed. Hiss, a man that even the heavenly Tao's suppression can't intimidate. The Supreme Elder and the other Tianma cult elders immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Their understanding of the ancestral master had reached a new height. You have shocked the Supreme Elder. You have received an unknown gift package. The ancient road to godhood will be automatically unlocked. At this moment, when the system's voice sounded in his mind, Ning Tian came back to his senses. The star-like light in his eyes dissipated. He frowned slightly. An unknown gift package? Interesting. Ancestral Master, can you ignore the heavenly Tao suppression? The Supreme Elder looked at Ning Tian. He swallowed his saliva, and his tone was somewhat solemn. The look in his eyes was not as if he was looking at a person, but a god. The heavenly Tao suppression? Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. A trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. What's the heavenly Tao suppression? He was not pretending to be stupid. It was because he really did not feel the heavenly Tao suppression. The reason why he was in a daze just now was that he was using the divine secret to crack the ancient talisman on the stone door. The ancient talisman was very powerful. If he could crack it, it would definitely be of great use. Unfortunately, he could not see it now. As expected of the Ancestral Master is awesome. He will always be a god. Hearing Ning Tian's words, the Supreme Elder and the others could only smile bitterly. They sighed helplessly and shook their heads. The Ancestral Master was still their Ancestral Master. He was so ridiculous that even the heavenly Tao suppression could not intimidate him. However, what the Supreme Elder and the others did not know was that Ning Tian did not have the mandate of heaven. The heavenly Tao could not intimidate him. However, if it were a mighty figure above the god realm, this kind of suppression would still be effective on Ning Tian. Chapter 488. In that case, let's wait patiently. Don't act rashly. Ning Tian said casually, and then asked the Supreme Elder to call Bai Lu and the flame-sealing Lion King over. Now, the entire heavenly spirit realm, whether it was the cultivators from other realms or those who already lived here, were all focused on the ancient road to godhood. At this time, there was no need to worry about someone coming to make trouble. The sect's affairs could be temporarily put aside, and the focus shifted to the ancient road to godhood. Soon, Bai Lu floated over with the death bell in her arms, and the flame-sealing Lion King followed behind her. When the soul and the lion came over, Bai Lu's little face was still a little rosy. She kept looking at Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao's lower abdomens. Her little eyes turned as if she was thinking of something. Bai Lu, what are you doing? Seeing this girl like this, Ning Tian and the two girls couldn't help but feel a little strange. I'm waiting for the Empress and Holy Lord's babies to be born, so I can teach them soul techniques. Geniuses must be taught from a young age. Bai Lu hugged the death bell and said with a serious face. It seemed that this girl had a deep interest in human children. Hearing this, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao were stunned. The former gritted her teeth and glared at Ning Tian. This guy only knew how to lead Bai Lu astray. The latter, on the other hand, was chuckling non-stop. She was looking forward to it. Haha, not yet. Ning Tian laughed and spread his hands. His realm wasn't equal yet. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get pregnant, unless his strength was equal to the two girls. At that time, the chances of getting pregnant would be much higher. However, Ning Tian's child, even if I don't teach it from a young age, it will definitely be a genius. Who knows, it might even be a holy physique or something. He smiled and his tone was very confident. At the side, the Supreme Elder and the others had already revealed a motherly smile. They didn't doubt the words of the founder. After all, the parents' genes were there. It would be difficult for Ning Tian's child to keep a low profile. Damn, I'm afraid he's another act tough king. However, after the founder becomes a god, will he return to the heavenly spirit realm? Would he be able to return to the 9 zones? One had to know that once an expert reached the deity realm and stayed in the deity realm, it would be very difficult for them to return to the 9 regions. This was also the reason why the demigods of the 9 regions were the strongest. Thinking of this, the Supreme Elder and the others' expressions became somewhat desolate. If the Patriarch were to leave, the Tianma cult would probably lose a lot of its joy. All right, one by one. Looking at the group of old men wiping their tears, Ning Tian rolled his eyes at them and said, "How old are you people? Why are you still crying? It's just the deity realm. If I become a deity, I'll naturally return. After all, the Tianma cult is my home. It began with the Sky Fiend and ended with the Sky Fiend. Don't worry. Don't tell me you don't believe in your ancestral master." Ning Tian smiled and looked at the group of old men. Woo-woo, of course I do. Ancestral master. The Supreme Elder and the other elders cried loudly and rushed directly toward Ning Tian, each of them looking very reluctant to part with him. Ancestral master, if you leave, who will take care of the Tianma cult? You. Ancestral master, if you leave, won't the 10 tons of building materials I prepared be used to buy a place? Woo-woo. All right. Everyone, stop before going too far. And Supreme Elder, you old man, can you not take the opportunity to wipe your snot on my clothes? Seeing the group of elders like this, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao smiled and shook their heads helplessly. Parting was a common thing, and cultivators should understand this principle even more. However, no one knew if this parting was for the next time they met, or if it would be farewell forever. Half an hour later, Ning Tian changed his clothes with a look of disgust, then looked at the Supreme Elder and the others and said very seriously, "On this trip, the Tianma cult will be under your control." Yes. The Supreme Elder and the others nodded heavily, and Ning Tian continued, "If I come back from the divine realm and see the Tianma cult in decline, even if you die, I will dig out your bones from the grave and whip you. Otherwise, it won't be enough to vent my anger," Ning Tian said fiercely. The group of elders, suddenly, they felt their bodies tremble. This didn't seem like a good task. After settling the matters of the Tianma cult, Ning Tian and the others could finally go to the ancient road to godhood with peace of mind. Boom! At this moment, in the sky, the stone door rumbled, and suddenly the pressure of the heavenly Tao appeared again. In front of the stone door that was thousands of meters in size, a strong pressure condensed and formed a chaotic illusory figure. The illusory figure was 100 meters in size and floated in front of the stone door. The heavenly Tao illusory figure. Seeing this scene, Luo Wuqing frowned slightly and murmured, as expected, not only will the ancient road to godhood change, but even the appearance of the heavenly Tao illusory figure will change. Change? Ning Tian was a little confused. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly, and her beautiful eyes fell on the heavenly Tao illusory figure. Her red lips parted slightly and said, according to the ancient records, the ancient road to godhood will change, and the heavenly Tao illusory figure will also change before the ancient road opens. For example, the heavenly Tao illusory figure last time was a strange human face, and the one before that was a divine dragon, but this time, it's a human figure. According to the ancient records,